Cinnamon Bear.
Last time, Judy and Jimmy and the Cinnamon Bear met Professor Whiz, the educated owl, who told them he'd seen the Crazy Quilt Dragon go into the Wintergreen Witch's house, and what's more, he had the Silver Star with him. But when they entered the house, there wasn't a sign of Crazy Quilt. At one end of the room was a huge picture of a forest. At least they thought it was a picture until they discovered it was a real forest. So in they went and met Fraidy Cat, who was frightened to death of a giant. And right now, the giant is coming closer and closer.
Gee, we're in for it all right. Come on, let's hurry.
Do you think the giant can see us?
I'm not sure. He's awful big. Maybe if we keep in the underbrush, he won't.
Meow. I'm so scared. Meow. I'm so unlucky. Everything happens to me.
We're all scared, little Fraidy Cat. But we're going to try to escape the giant just the same.
We'll never be able to go faster than he does. He's coming closer and closer.
Oh, dear, what'll we do?
Oh, don't step on us, Mr. Giant, please. Look out.
Of course I won't step on you. Where are you?
We're right here under this big tree.
You mean that little bush by my knee? Here, let me see. You're way down, aren't you?
Yes, but please be careful. Don't hurt us. We haven't done anything to you.
I wouldn't think of hurting anybody. I'm Fee-Fo, the gentle giant. I am.
Whew, that's a big relief to us, I can tell you.
Just a minute till I sit down. Then I'll be closer to you. Where are you now?
Here we are. My goodness, but you're just awful big.
He sure is all right. Well, he looks as high as the city hall, doesn't he, Judy?
You don't know how glad I am to see someone who looks like me, even if you aren't the same size. I haven't seen any people but the Wintergreen Witch for ever so long. Would you be afraid if I would pick you up and look at you a little closer? My eyes are a bit weak, you know.
Well, I don't mind. Gee, it'd be lots of fun.
I think it would be, too. How about you, Cinnamon Bear?
It's all right with me. But be real careful about the way you pick me up, won't you? My extra special stuffing is awfully sensitive to high altitude. Let me hang on to your thumb.
Meow. Oh, my goodness. I forgot about Fraidy Cat.
A cat? Well, let me see it. I'm very fond of cats.
Fraidy Cat's nothing but a little kitten.
Well, that's all right. I like 'em that way. Come here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
I'm awful scared of you. Are you sure you won't hurt me?
Not for the world. Here, look. I'll put you in my coat pocket and you can look out of the buttonhole.
All right. If you'll be very careful.
There. Fraidy Cat's up. Now, how about the rest of you? Would you like to sit up on my shoulder?
You bet. Come on, Judy. Boy, isn't this something? Hey, Cinnamon Bear.
Hello? I'm coming next.
There. We're all up.
Are you all quite comfortable?
Oh, yes, thank you, Fee-Fo.
Well, that's fine. Now, suppose you tell me who you are and what you're doing in the Wintergreen Witch's magic forest.
Well, I'm Jimmy Barton, and this is my twin sister, Judy. And he's Patio Cinnamon the Cinnamon Bear. And we've come an awful long way to try to get back our silver star that was stolen by the Crazy Quilt Dragon.
Silver Star?
Yes, it belongs on top of our Christmas tree. And Christmas won't be Christmas without it.
Have you seen the Crazy Quilt Dragon by any chance, Fee-Fo?
Well, no, I haven't. But that's not strange. Lots of things go on around my feet that I can't see.
You know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I see a cinnamon bun on a tree over there.
Well, that's the cinnamon bun tree in the goody-goody grove. Oh, there's all kinds of good things to eat there. Chocolate eclair bushes, cream puff vines, and ice cream cone trees. Oh, just lots of things.
Gee, I just remembered that I'm awful hungry. How about you, Judy?
Me too, Jimmy. I would just love something to eat.
Well, no sooner said than done. It's just a couple of steps over there. Here, hold tight while I get up. Here we are, and here we go. Here we are. I'd better put you on the ground again. You might fall off if I bent down to pick anything for you.
Oh, you forgot all about me. Is there anything for me to eat?
Well, I didn't mean to overlook you, little fraidy cat. Yeah, there's a milkweed tree that has very delicious milk. I'll pick a pot of that for you.
Oh, thank you, Fifo. You're awfully good to me. And I was so scared when I first saw you.
Well, you don't have to be scared of me anymore. In fact, if you'd keep me company, I'd be very grateful. You know, I get very lonesome sometimes.
I'd like to stay with you. You wouldn't let anything hurt me, would you?
I should say not. How's the milk?
Very nice. Just the way I like it.
Oh, that's fine. How about the rest of you?
Oh, it's
Well, just wonderful.
Gee, this is the first time I ever got to eat all the cream puffs I wanted. Mother wouldn't let me have but one at home. She says they're too rich.
Well, eat just as many as you want, when nothing in the goody-goody grove will make you sick.
My goodness, Jimmy. You just ought to taste these chocolatey eclairs. They're so good.
Yeah. You can't beat these cinnamon buns and this honey. Notice how sweet it makes my voice sound.
What? That was swell. I guess I won't want any more cream puffs for a long time. Say, how'd you ever happen to be in the magic forest before?
Well, I didn't used to be here at all. I used to live out on the island of Obi like everybody else. One day I was taking a nap on the beach, and the wintergreen witch made me real small and put me through the picture frame in her house, and then made me big again before I woke up. Now I can't get out because I'm too large.
Isn't there any way for you to get out?
The only way would be for the wintergreen witch to let me out, and she won't do it.
Say, I don't want to rush you two, but remember, we're a long way from finding Crazy Quill and the Silver Star.
I guess the best thing would be to look for him ourselves, since Fifo hasn't seen him. Yeah, he couldn't help us anyway, 'cause in one step, he'd miss 1,000,000 Crazy Quill dragons.
Thank you ever so much, Fifo, for the elegant lunch and for helping us.
I should say so. Those cream puffs just fixed me up swell.
I don't know what I would have done without my cinnamon buns. I wouldn't have been able to be ferocious at all.
Now, before you go, there's something I want to give you. It's a whistle. Now, I can't use it because it's too small for me. I just wear it on my watch chain for a charm. Here, wait a minute till I wet my finger. I can't pick it off very good unless I do. There. Now, you just blow on it 3 times if you want me for anything, and I'll hear it and I'll come a-running.
Like this?
Is it magic?
Yes. I used to dabble a bit in it before the witch put me in the magic forest. Well, you blow it if you need me, and I'll come in a jiffy.
Well, thank you ever so much, Fifo.
You bet. Gee, you've been swell to us.
You've certainly changed our opinions of giants.
If I've done that, I am very happy. All right, come on, Fraidy Cat. Back in my pocket you go. And goodbye to all of you. Remember, I'm here to help you if you want me.
Goodbye, Fifo. Pretty nice of him to be so polite and helpful, wasn't it?
It surely was. But then, I really wasn't afraid of him when I first saw him.
Why, you old storyteller. You were too.
Certainly you were. You were scared to death, and you know it.
Well, if you won't believe me, I won't talk about it anymore.
Which way shall we go?
It's awful hard to know which way. We haven't any idea where the Crazy Quill Dragon might have gone.
Well, he didn't know this forest any better than we did. So if we just follow our noses, we'll probably come as close to him as finding him as any other way we can do.
Well, that's silly. Just like some people say, follow your nose.
Well, not in Maybeland it isn't. Now, if you want to find somebody real bad, that's just what you do. Follow your nose, and eventually you find him.
Is that some more magic?
Well, I don't know if it's magic, but it generally works.
Well, all right. I guess we'll try it. Say, which way are our noses pointed?
That's silly, too. They're pointed straight ahead of us.
Well, then, that's the way to go.
Right through this underbrush and everything?
Yes, we get through it as much as we can.
All right. But I hope we don't get all scratched up.
Want to take my hand, Judy?
No, Jimmy. It's easier for me to go by myself because... Oh! What's happened?
It's all dark.
Dark nothing. It's pitch black.
I can't see you, Jimmy. Or you, Cinnamon Bear. I can't see anything.
Grab hold of my hand, Judy. And you take this one, Cinnamon. Let's just stand right here together until it gets light again.
What do you suppose ever made it get dark so quick? Maybe it just decided to get nighttime in a hurry.
No, Judy. I think it's magic. The wintergreen witch probably shut off the lights.
Maybe the electric light company turned them off because she didn't pay her bill.
Well, whatever it is, I don't like it one little bit. It's dark and scary and... Oh!
Well, what's the matter, Judy? What is it?
Look, over there.
Heavenly days. 2 yellow lights like eyes, a-flashing in the dark.
As Jimmy often says, gee willikers, what's going to happen next? I'd like nothing better than to know right this very minute, but like you, I'm going to have to be patient and wait until next time.
Perched there at the front window like you were a setter and there was a covey of quail in the yard.
I'm just watching for that postman, Molly. I'm expecting some important mail.
You haven't thrown your money away on another fly-by-night scheme, have you, McGee?
Oh, I've made a small investment in my future. That's what it means. I've signed up to take a memory training course by mail.
What for?
Because big executives have got to have good memories, that's why. Being able to remember a lot of stuff is what separates the wheat from the chaff in this business world.
But you're not in the business world.
Oh, I will be as soon as I take this memory course. I'll be able to keep my finger on the pulse of so many different projects at the same time that they'll be after me to become president of the AT&T or something.
I doubt if they'll be after you to become the president of it.
Well, I don't see why not. With the excellent memory I got to start with, I ought to be a genius by the time I get through taking a memory course.
I've seen goldfish with better memories than you have, McGee. You're always forgetting to do things.
That's not true in the least, Wags. I just have so many big things on my mind that I let some of the smaller ones go.
You mean little things like putting your shoes on the wrong feet in the morning and remembering to shave?
That's right. Them things are trivialities. Anything that's really important is etched on my memory for all time to come. And speaking of coming, the postman is coming up the walk right now. I'll go meet him. I can hardly wait to get started on my course.
Ah, there goes a good kid. A mind like a sieve, but a heart made of gold.
That's dead dread of memory school anyway. The first lesson still hasn't come, and I ordered that course more than 2 weeks ago.
Maybe they forgot to send it.
Molly, the Apex Memory School never forgets anything. They're just letting me cool my heels. And I don't like it one bit.
Now, there's no reason to get all worked up, McGee. It probably was just delayed in the mail for some reason.
I sent them my good money for that course. They probably figure I got such a poor memory I don't even remember ordering the thing. But they've run across one perceptive student who's not going to be a pigeon for their crooked schemes. What they didn't figure on is that I got a good memory. I just needed their course to make it a little better, that's all.
Well, fussing and fuming at me isn't going to do any good.
I know that, but I'm planning to take some action that will do some good. I'm going to write that outfit a letter that'll give them a piece of my mind.
Okay, dearie. If it'll make you feel any better, you go to it.
Well, I'm going to tell them I'm no absent-minded professor that mails them a check for $10 and then forgets all about it. Here, let me sit down here at the desk. Pencil and paper.
Now, don't write anything threatening if you're going to send it through the mail.
Oh, my gosh.
What's the matter?
Here on the desk. It's my envelope with a check in it to the memory school. I guess I forgot to mail it.
What was that big brown envelope that came for you in the morning mail, McGee?
It was my first lesson from the Apex Memory Training School. I told you I signed up for it. And believe me, kiddo, this system of theirs is great, you know it?
Well, it doesn't seem to have helped you much so far.
What do you mean?
You forgot to take the trash out again this morning.
I didn't forget to take it out, Molly. I'm just employing the Apex system. You remember the important stuff by dismissing the trivialities from your mind. And taking out the trash happens to be a triviality.
An awful lot of trash collectors would be thrown out of work if everybody thought that way.
Well, I don't mean that the trash don't have to be carried out by somebody. It's just not the job for a person with a great mind. That's what the Apex people say.
I don't think I'm going to like the Apex people.
Oh, they're a wonderful crowd, Molly. In fact, they're making a new man out of me. When I get the system learned, I'll remember everything I ever knew. Would you like to know how it works?
No, not particularly.
Well, it's all based on the association of ideas, you see. Everything a human being knows is associated with something else. We don't just have stray facts running around loose in our cerebariums.
Well, that's a comforting thought.
Now, for instance, you say a word, and I'll show you how I associate that word with other stuff.
All right. The word is tetraethyl.
Oh, come on, Molly. Stop skipping around. I'm serious about this.
Okay, I'll give you another word. Indian.
Well, Indian reminds me of the Battle of Tippecanoe. That, right away, reminds me of a fact I hadn't thought of in years, that it was fought on February 11th, 1811. That makes me think that it was the year before the War of 1812, and the hero of that war was Oliver Hazard Perry. Hazard makes me think of fire hazard, and when I think of fire, I think of furnace. And that reminds me that I got to fire the furnace in a few minutes. Now, you see how it works?
I'm certainly glad that the hero of the War of 1812 wasn't Winfield Scott.
Why?
We would have gotten awfully cold before you fixed the furnace.
Molly, you're always looking for loopholes in things. Actually, this memory course is a wonderful thing. I find I'm remembering facts and dates that I thought I'd forgot all about. Give me a date, and I'll show you what I mean.
Well, let's see. April 14th.
Let's see. My process of association goes to work right away, and I can tell you that that was the date that Lincoln was shot in 1865. It was also the date that William Henry Harrison died in 1841. Try me on another one.
How about the date today?
Indiana was admitted to the Union on this date in the year 1816.
Anything else?
Now, wait a minute. Let me associate for a minute. Nope, that's it.
Sure you're not forgetting something?
Molly, with this system, I don't forget anything. If there was another event on this date, I never knew about it.
Oh, I think you knew about this one at one time.
I don't associate anything. What is it?
Today is our wedding anniversary.
Don't be silly, Molly. We were married on the... Oh, my gosh. And I didn't get you a present.
It's all right.
Gee, the stores are closed now. I'll tell you what I'll give you as a gift, Molly. I'll let you use my memory course after I'm through with it.
Is that you, McGee?
Molly, there's only 2 keys to this front door. You got one of them and I got the other one. Since you're already inside the house, it stands to reason that any new arrival coming in must be me.
Well, it's just that I didn't know you'd left. Where have you been?
I went to the grocery like you told me.
How could you have done that? The grocery list I gave you is still here on the desk.
Molly, I didn't take that list on purpose. I figured this would be a good chance to try out that new memory course I'm taking. I memorized the list, and that way I didn't need to take it with me.
Oh, dear. I'll bet anything you forgot some of the items I had written down.
No, I didn't know such a thing of the kind. I just got in my mind the sentence, the red bear sits on the green table and erases the pencil marks.
You better let me take your temperature, McGee.
I'm all right. That's just the way the memory system I'm taking works. When I say, the red bear sits on the green table and erases the pencil marks, I don't mean it literally. Every word in that sentence is a key to something that I had to get at the grocery. See? Now you take the word red. You see? Here's the red cabbage you asked me to get.
It was beets I asked you to get, and not red cabbage.
Oh, gee, that's right. Beets are red, too, aren't they? I could have sworn cabbage was the only red vegetable.
What's in the package here?
Veal cutlets. The word bear reminded me of that. Now, when you think of bear, you think of bear meat. That's how I remembered the cutlet.
It was a pork roast I asked you to get.
Are you sure? When I thought of meat, I thought of veal cutlets right away.
That's because we had them for dinner last night.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that is where that idea came from. I didn't have any trouble with the word green. Here's your Brussels sprouts.
Oh, McGee, it was green beans you were supposed to get.
Well, Brussels sprouts taste almost the same. Then, of course, on the word table, I reminded myself of the 4 legs on a table, and that's how I happened to get these 4 cans of peaches.
It was 4-Star brand tomato juice I wanted.
Well, peaches got the same vitamins in them. And then the word erases, that gave me a little trouble. Then I remembered that you erase with rubber. So here's your new kitchen sponge.
Dearie, I asked you to bring back a box of rubber fruit jar rings.
Well, we need a new kitchen sponge. And then this last item, I know I got that right. That came from the word pencil. I stood there thinking of something that looked like a pencil. So I got 2 bunches of asparagus. They were on sale.
It was not asparagus you were supposed to get. It was celery.
Oh.
This memory course of yours is a complete failure. You didn't get one single item that was on the list.
Dad, right, Molly, the memory course is not at fault. It's oblivious to anybody who thinks about it that you just ordered the wrong thing. Now, let's see. Apex Memory Course, lesson number 3. The student should build self-confidence by repeating to himself, I have the memory of an elephant. Yeah. I have the memory of an elephant. I have the memory of an elephant.
Hi, Mister.
Oh, hi there, Jean. I have the memory of an elephant.
Gee, that's a coincidence, I betcha.
Why? What's so coincidental about that?
Because my daddy says you have a waistline like an elephant, too, I betcha.
Well, now, I'll just disregard the palaver of your paternal parent, Teeny. What brings you out on such a chill morn?
Well, I came over to tell you something real important, I betcha.
Now you can't remember what it is, huh?
No, I remember.
Well, it just so happens, Teeny, that I'm taking the Apex Memory Course now, and by using the Apex System of Association, I'll show you how you can remember what you came for.
What I came for was to tell you.
Now, hold it. Just going at the problem willy-nilly like that's not going to help any. The secret lies in getting the thought processes organized properly. Now, have you got any idea what goes on inside your skull, Teeny?
You mean between my ears and under my beanie?
Well, that's the general area I was referring to.
Gosh, no. I don't know what goes on there.
Well, you got nerve endings and electrical impulsification shooting around in your brain all the time.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Every thought you got is connected to some other thought. By using the Apex system, you can hook them all together and remember everything you ever knew.
You mean every teeny tiny itsy bitsy thing I ever knew,
That's right, Teeny. Just by using the Apex system of association, I could make you remember what you had for lunch 3 weeks ago last Tuesday.
A peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cocoa.
How in the Sam Hill can you remember that?
Well, because I take a tap dancing lesson every other Tuesday, and I didn't take one last Tuesday, so I must have taken one the Tuesday before, and if I took one the Tuesday before, then I must have taken one 3 weeks ago Tuesday. And before I take one, I'll always have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cocoa.
Oh, you do, eh? I says you do, huh?
You what?
Always have that.
What?
A peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cocoa before you take a tap dancing lesson.
How'd you know?
Oh, Teeny, we're straying far aforward here. What I'm trying to get you to remember is what you come in here for. Now, think careful. Does it associate with any word beginning with A?
No. It begins with W.
Oh, you can remember the letter.
Mm-hmm.
See how the system works? Now try to think of the word beginning with W. Can you do that?
I sure can. It's Willie Toops.
Oh, Willie Toops.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nothing hard now. Well, what about Willie Toops?
Well, that's what I've been trying to tell you, mister.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Toops and I were playing cowboy and Indian, and Willie was the Indian, and he shot a flaming arrow.
Oh.
And I went up on the roof of your house, and your roof was on fire.
What?
Get riveted.
That's the dead. Now, let's see. 1 is a fire plug, 2 is a bedspread, 3 is a horse.
What in the world are you talking about, McGee?
Those are just the key symbols in the Apex Memory Training course I'm taking, Molly. Now, you say, for instance, you sent me to the grocery store for a bushel of peaches and a loaf of bread. Now, for number 1, I always think of a fire plug. So, I'd get a mental picture of a bushel of peaches sitting next to a fire plug. Then for 2...
Who left them there?
Who left what where?
The bushel of peaches next to the fire plug.
Nobody left them there, Molly. I can just see them there.
Well, if you see them there, somebody must have left them.
Molly, there aren't really any peaches next to the fire plug. I just see them there. Now, for 2, I think of a bedspread. So, I see a loaf of bread lying on a bedspread.
Well, get it off of there. You'll get crumbs in the bed.
Molly, I can't get crumbs in the bed on account of because this is not a real loaf of bread.
Well, what is it?
It's the loaf of bread you asked me to get at the grocery store.
I did not ask you to get any bread at the grocery store. We have at least enough to last until tomorrow.
Look, Molly, this is hypothetical bread.
Well, I don't want it. The seeds get in my teeth.
Okay, you in. But I still say this memory course is a great thing. By using association, you can remember anything you ever knew. Right now, I'm associating to remember what our auto license number was in 1926.
McGee, do you know you have on one black shoe and one brown one?
That's entirely possible, because when you start using this memory course, the secret lies in dismissing all irreverent stuff from your mind. And shoes are irreverent when it comes to remembering 1926 license numbers.
You haven't combed your hair this morning either.
Dismiss it. Hair has nothing to do with what I'm thinking about. 1926, that was the year of the big Florida hurricanes. I read about that in the Peoria paper. So that means we were living in Peoria at the time. We therefore had an Illinois license. Now I got to try and visualize.
Your socks don't match either.
I'm in a transom. I can see it. The colors were blue and white.
If you mean your socks, you have one green one and one blue one.
The license plate. Blue letters on a white background. The first number was 3. 314. 314,000.
McGee, you have a wild look in your eye, and I don't like it.
It began with 314. After 30 years, I can still remember. 3146. No, 3145. 5, that's it. 31457. One more number and I got it.
McGee, this whole memory course is useless if you're just going to remember silly things like an old license number.
31457. Memory course? What memory course?
Heavenly days, don't you even remember you're taking it?
When I concentrate on something, I forget everything else. It couldn't be important anyway. Now, let me think. 31457. Dad-bratted, I'm going to remember that other number if it's the last thing I ever do. 314...
Don't turn that dial. This is the right station if you want to hear about Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. Ding dong ding, the bells do ring. We're bringing you news of the latest thing that has happened up on the moon. And we hurried to bring it quicker than soon, for we knew you'd be worried, and that's why we hurried in from the icy snows to tell you some more how the story goes. Now, of course, you remember little Jonathan Thomas, who has lived 6 years and never once broke a promise. And you remember the squeebobbles who broke all the laws and kidnapped poor old Santa Claus? And how Jonathan Thomas and the Man in the Moon and well, of course, Gorgonzola the horse set out real soon, and they had to because, well, they've just got to rescue old Santa Claus. Well, never you mind. They'll find him yet. Oh, but we mustn't forget that wicked old witch of Rumpelstitch, and how in the nightmare forest so deep, little Jonathan Thomas has fallen asleep. And he wasn't supposed to do that at all, and he wouldn't if he hadn't happened to fall right off the back of the horse. But now, of course, Whiskery Bill, he's a squirrel, he tried to see if there could possibly be a charm to break the spell which the wicked old witch had woven so well. And how he found out, only goodness knows, but it turned out to be a red, red rose. So now, while Jonathan Thomas lies fast asleep and all of his friends stand round and weep, why, Whiskery Bill is way over the hill and going to the rainbow's end. For everyone knows that the brambly rose didn't have any color of red, so she told him to go through the ice and the snow for rainbow rubies, her colors to mend, and so there he goes as fast as the wind that blows. And now, before you can count up to 10, here's where the story begins again.
Double trouble, boil and bubble, and brew my magic well, for I'm in fine fettle. Oh, faithful kettle, when things to me you hotel.
Oh, please, Mrs. Witch, what happened to Whiskery, Bill? You didn't hurt him, did you?
That's not the story, and you needn't worry about poor Whiskery Bill. Although my magic is quite tragic, it is not brewed to kill. And if you think me quite the liar, then come here closer to the fire and gaze into the bubbling brew and tell me what appeals to you.
Oh, I can see him. I can see poor Whiskery Bill. And, oh, look, Mrs. Witch. He must not be feeling very well because he's crying.
Uh-huh, but he's not dying.
Oh, please don't hurt Whiskery Bill, Mrs. Witch, because he's such a nice little squirrel.
Keep watching, please, oh Jonathan Thomas, and you'll see how well I keep my promise. For I've cast my spell very well, because you shall not rescue Santa Claus. And if into my brew you'll gaze, you'll see how quickly pass the days, until I alone will have much cheer. For Christmas shall not come this year.
You're not very nice.
I should know that well. You've said it twice. But keep on gazing long until you see what happens to Whiskery Bill. What happens to Whiskery Bill?
Oh, my goodness, how I've run. I've run until I'm almost done. And I'll just bet there's no other one beneath the sun that's ever run as fast as I have done. Oh, my goodness, the time has come, the time has come.
I say, old boy, what did you say?
I said that...
Well, speak up. Did I hear you correctly or didn't I?
Chimney crickets and chief willikers. What are you trying to do anyway? Scare me out of 20 years' growth? Who are you?
The question, my little pipsqueak, isn't who am I, but who are you? And you'd better tell me very true. That is, if you know what's good for you.
I already know what's good for me. A lot better than you do, so bah!
Well, and bless me. It's very plain to see that you're not very polite, but quite smart alecky. And what I think would be good for you is to be taken down a peg or two.
You just mind your own business, old Whiskers face.
Remember your place.
Oh, you hush your fuss and get out of my way.
Well, Lord Bodkins, and by Jove, I say.
Yes, and what's the big idea in stopping me anyway?
Because it were my very words I heard you say.
Oh, nonsense and rubbish and fiddlesticks.
As plain as day I heard you say, the time has come, and by my hat, you can't do that, you know.
Oh, is that so?
Don't you know that I'm the Walrus?
So what if you are, you old fish face? Besides, I gotta run.
Well, by my hat, I'm most glad of that. But don't you say the time has come for me to run, for that's my line, from a very old rhyme. Of course, you might say, has come the time, or perhaps, time the has come, or some such other one.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Are you the one who said, the time has come, the Walrus said, to speak of many things, of shoes and ships and candle wax and cabbages?
Sealing wax, not candle wax, you blasted whippersnapper.
Well, wax is wax, isn't it? The same as pigs is pigs.
Oh, I suppose so.
But excuse me now, I've got to go.
Well, now, I'd like to know why you have got to hurry so. To be quite nice, you know, I've strived. So why should you leave when you've just arrived?
because I have to go to see the keeper of the rainbow.
Well, bless my soul, and what do you know?
I know a lot of things, which is more than you do.
Blimey, that's not very nice of you.
Well...
Pish and tush, what's the rush? Why not stop for a cup of tea?
Because, that's why. If I do, he'll die, and then what'll they think of me?
Well, crumpets on a griddle, what is this riddle? And what are these things you say? Who is he? And Odd Bodkins? Who are these people that you call they?
It's all the doings of that wicked old witch.
Aha! I smell a mice. Whatever she does is never very nice.
She cast a spell on a very good friend and put him fast asleep.
My word and by Jove, it fairly makes my flesh creep.
And there's only one way to wake him up, and that's the red, red rose.
And where in the world can you get one of those?
At the rainbow's end.
Well, instead of going, why don't you send?
It's not the rose I'm going for, it's the color. Because a brambly bush can grow white roses, but she can't grow any red.
Oh, now I see. I'm getting it through me head.
And I've just got to go because it's for poor little Jonathan Thomas.
Righto, and of course you've got to keep your promise. Wait a minute. I've got a thought.
What?
If you go alone, you're apt to be caught.
Who's going to catch me?
Why, the Jabberwocky, of course.
The Jabberwocky? What's that?
The Jabberwocky, a most vicious bird who simply adores little squirrels, or at least so I've heard.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just chuck it all and go with you. Whap, whap, whap. Before we get set, do you realize we've never met?
Well, my name is Whiskery Bill.
You don't say. Why, now, that name's as tasty as an apple. And, now, my name, Sir Algernon Q. Whipplesnapple.
Sir Algernon Q. Whipplesnapple, how do you do?
Ho, ho, ho. I was going to say that to you.
Well, come on, Sir Algy. We've got to go.
You said it, Whiskey, and right-o.
Together we should ought to find the color red.
Of course we should. That's what I said. And by Jove, we'll show that witch a thing or two. In fact, we shan't come back until we do. Come on, Whiskers. Let's get out of here.
And there will be a Christmas after all this year. Here we go to the rainbow to find the ruby red, to fix the witch of Rumplestitch and drive her out of her head.
Oh, hippity skip, hip hip, and off and away we go. We'll never stop our hippity up till we reach the long rainbow. Here we go to the rainbow to find the ruby red, to fix the witch of Rumplestitch and drive her out of her head.
Well, now, I guess we're beginning to get somewhere. What with Whiskery Bill and the Walrus going together to find the red, red rose. And I'll bet they get it, too. Well, now they've just got to, haven't they? Or else how can they wake up Jonathan Thomas in time to rescue Santa Claus for Christmas? Well, we'll find out, won't we? Maybe in the next story of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. I'll be listening, won't you?
The American West. Once it could have been the British, Spanish, or even the Russian West. It became American primarily because of the explorations of two young Army officers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Their pioneering journey stands as one of the great achievements in the history of the United States.
come out of there. You'll have those Indians swarming all over the boat looking for you.
Captain Lewis, sir? Tell him I'm out hunting buffalo with Mr. George Juilliard. Tell him my master, Captain Clark, took me to the village to meet the big chief Black Cat.
Captain Clark is coming this way right now, and you met Black Cat yesterday.
But, sir, I don't want to go out there.
We're spending the winter with the Mandans, and you may as well get used to them. You ought to be glad they like you.
The winter, sir? I won't be able to stand it that long. All that flexing of muscle and lifting heavy men over my head to show how strong I am.
They want you, York.
Sir, I'm plumb tired out. Besides, I'm your servant, not theirs.
Go on. You know you love all that attention. Get out there and make them happy.
That's an order, sir?
It is.
All right, sir. But this time I'm only lifting little squaws.
He hasn't had this much fun in his whole life.
At least not since we left the Arikara village.
Speaking of Arikaras, where's Chief Kakawita?
Talking with Newman, I guess. He feels sorry for Newman. He told me Arikaras would never whip a man and take away his warrior status for the minor offense of talking back to a superior. I tried to explain that Newman had also denounced the expedition, the army, the entire nation. But Kakawita couldn't see how that increased the offense. He simply doesn't have the same conception of nationality that we do. How'd it go with Black Cat?
He'll hold a council for Kakawita. We may arrange peace between the Mandans and the Arikaras yet.
I hope so.
The only thing really bothers me, that agent of the British Northwest Trading Company, McCracken. He knows we know he's in the village, but he keeps on avoiding a meeting.
The land is ours. Sooner or later, he'll have to come to us.
Horizons West, the continued story of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Now, with Harry Bartell as Meriwether Lewis and John Anderson as William Clark, listen to Chapter 3, Dakota Winter. October 1804. The news that Lewis and Clark had outfaced and overawed the Teton Sioux preceded the expedition up the Missouri River, turning the belligerent Arikaras into genial hosts, and now the Mandans, who lived in the Dakota country, into stout advocates. Only the presence of the Britisher, Hugh McCracken, caused the two captains worry. Here was a man who might upset their plans, depending upon the extent of his dislike.
In the cleared area before the rows of rounded earthen huts, a fire was crackling, and the chiefs and warriors of the Mandans had assembled. Kakawita, our Arikara friend, was in the center along with Billy Clark. As I took my seat beside Black Cat, chief of the Mandans, I saw Hugh McCracken standing beside one of the lodges.
My people, listen. Men of courage and goodwill are among us. The white chieftains, Lewis and Clark, and their warriors of the United States. They will winter here. They will teach us their ways of peace through strength. They will bring us their traders to buy our furs and supply our needs. Now, hear the words of Captain Lewis.
We come among you with greetings from Thomas Jefferson, Big Chief of the 17 states of America. We bring you protection and prosperity, only as long as they are fair and honorable will the traders of France, of England, of Spain, of Canada be permitted to deal with you. For this, we ask only friendship and that you live in peace with the other tribes. We have talked to the Arikaras, and they want peace. With us is their chief, Kakawita, who wishes to speak to his Mandan brothers.
Let him be heard.
My brothers, I have made much talk with my people and great white chiefs. Wise men have made us see reasons why there has been trouble between Mandan and Arikara. Each time we have made war, it has been because of evil counsel of Teton Sioux, who grow strong while we bleed each other. Let us resist Sioux deceit. Let us have peace. Let us smoke together.
Those are fair words, Arikara. But what if this alliance is made and the Teton Sioux frown upon it? Will you do as you have done before and kill us because you fear the Sioux?
No! No! At last, our eyes are open. We will not fear the Sioux when we can come to you in friendship.
Hear me, people of the Mandans. Accept the word of your brother. We, captains of the United States, will guarantee this peace. If the Sioux attack, we will punish them.
My people, the great white captains have spoken. Pass the pipe. We will smoke.
During the next few days, we surveyed the area near the river, above and below the Mandan villages, for a suitable site for our winter quarters. And Billy Clark and I decided on a location which was heavily forested with cottonwoods.
Looks good to me, Meriwether. Plenty of trees for building. No cartage problem.
Remember how we built when we were serving under General Anthony Wayne?
Every building was a fort and could be defended.
And that's what we want here. Strong houses, a tall wall of pickets, sentry ramps, gun ports, visibility on all sides. We'll need 5 or 6 good-sized dugout. Hey, what's the matter with York?
Captain Clark. Captain Clark.
What is it, York? What is it?
Chief Blackcat says to tell you right away. The Englishman McCracken is leaving. He goes someplace on the Assiniboine River.
Back to Northwest Trading Company headquarters.
York, has McCracken actually left?
Not yet, sir. He's still packing.
I'm writing a letter to his superiors. I want you to put it into McCracken's hands before he leaves.
Yes, sir.
A letter, Meriwether?
A brief statement of intent. We bought this land from the French. We will defend it. November temperatures in this north country were quite cold, down around the 0 mark, oftener than we liked. According to the Mandans, this was mild weather. It would get much, much colder. As cold as 40 to 50 degrees below 0. Despite this, morale among the men was high. They worked long, hard hours in a race against the weather, building a stout Fort Mandan, while Sergeant Gass and 10 others worked equally hard on the dugout canoes.
It is fine morning, Captain Lewis.
Nakawita, how are you?
I have been watching Sergeant Gass and his men. Making a big log into a boat is hard task. It asks much of the worker. He must be skilled, patient. He must always see a canoe before him, not a log.
Sergeant Gass has all those qualities.
So does your prisoner Newman, the disgraced warrior who will be sent downriver next spring when the ice has melted. He, too, has the fine qualities of the sergeant.
Newman was given a fair trial and found guilty by a court made up of his fellows. You want me to nullify that?
No, Captain. Merely observe him from time to time.
Cold November gave way to colder December. But this did not stop the Mandan young men, dressed only in breech clouds, from racing about on the ice, playing a brutal game called lacrosse. Meriwether went out on the ice with the lacrosse players, not for love of sport, but to learn enough to write about it in his carefully detailed cultural study of the Indians. He gathered much linguistic information about their speech, made up dictionaries to go with his summaries of various aboriginal religions, customs, laws, and social behavior. We had accepted Robert Frazier of the temporary escort as a permanent member of the Corps to fill the vacancy created by the death of Charles Floyd. And we enlisted a young trader who stopped en route to St. Louis, Baptiste Lepage, to replace the disgraced John Newman. We still lacked a man to replace Moses Reed, the convicted deserter, when a heavy-set Frenchman of about 40 came to the stockade with his 2 wives and asked to speak to the commander.
What a thing I've seen, sir. Do you know one of your men is risking his life playing lacrosse with those savages?
Well, that's Captain Lewis, my co-commander. I'm Captain Clark. What can I do for you?
I am Charbonneau, Captain Clark. Toussaint Charbonneau. I have many, many years of experience in the wilderness, and I understand the geography of the Mississippi and the Missouri, and on the west to the divide.
Touched with a French inflection, the words poured out a statement of his qualifications for a job. I watched him and looked at the 2 shy Indian women who had entered a few steps behind him. They were obviously his wives, one tired, middle-aged, the other young and pretty. The young one was in the early months of pregnancy.
The Americans, where my great experience and many skills can be properly used.
Hello, Billy. Captain Lewis. This is Toussaint Charbonneau, trader, hunter, guide, interpreter. The ladies are his wives.
Delighted, Captain.
Mr. Charbonneau wants a job.
You told him we have all the people we need, didn't you?
Well, I was about to.
I'm sorry, but I heard you had no one who could speak Shoshone.
Who said we needed anyone for that?
Oh, there are the persistent rumors which we hear from St. Louis.
Mr. Charbonneau, you imply that you speak the Shoshone tongue.
Oh, no, sir. No white man has ever visited the Shoshone, let alone try to learn their language. However, I can offer the next best thing in the person of my youngest wife, Sacagawea. She will accompany me. She speaks Shoshone because she is a Shoshone. I won her in a game of chance from the Gros Ventre some months ago. She also speaks English.
Won her in a game?
5 years ago, a Gros Ventre raiding party took her from her own people.
She's pregnant. She can't go on a long trek.
Oh, by the time the river ice melts next spring, she will have borne me a son.
A baby can't stand a long trip either.
Oh, this baby can, Captain, huh? He will be French and Indian, and the son of Toussaint Charbonneau.
You'll work your heart out if you go with us.
I'm not afraid of hard work. And, did I mention, huh? I'm an excellent cook.
All right, Charbonneau, we'll try it. $25 per month, and keep.
Also keep for Sacagawea, huh?
Yes. Keep for Sacagawea.
Both Charbonneau and Sacagawea helped us put the expedition equipment inside the new stockade. Our friends, the Mandans, brought us gifts of food, choice meat, vegetables, and pemmican, and Indian dried meat food that was delicious. We stored all perishables outside the buildings where the below-freezing temperatures kept meats fresh and a wooden lattice kept away marauding creatures. Hunting parties went out to augment the supply, and one was attacked by a Sioux raiding party. Kakawita, the Arikara chief, was one of the hunters.
Captain Lewis, there were only 3 of us. Bratton, Newman, me. Newman came only to load the pack animals and do squaw work. But his courage saved us.
His courage saved you? What do you mean by that?
The Sioux, nearly 100 of them, had taken our meat and 2 of our horses and had forced Bratton to give them his knife. Newman threatened them and made them return the knife. Then they left.
Thank you for telling me, Kakawita.
Tomorrow, I go back to my village with 3 chieftains from the Mandans to smoke the pipe of peace with my people. Sometimes men learn from their errors.
Kakawita and the Mandan ambassadors left for the Arikara settlements to the south of us, and Charbonneau and his wife Sacagawea moved into the fort. The second wife, Otter Woman, did not come along. Plainly, Charbonneau had sent her back to her people. After a few days of shy silence, Sacagawea began to answer questions from me and from Billy Clark, as long as her husband was present.
Sacagawea, Is it many moons from here to your people? Can you go there on the river in boats?
It is many moons. Then comes the big falling of water over the steep bluffs, making much noise and a mist like rain.
Yes, go on, Sacagawea. The big fall of water, there must be a portage for boats around it. Come in. Black Cat. Come in, Black Cat.
Health be with you, my friend.
Health be with you. What has brought you to Fort Mandan?
I am deeply troubled. English traders of the Northwest Company are in my village. There is bad talk from one of them called La France.
They threaten you?
La France says the Americans lie to us. All American trade will be controlled by the Sioux.
Do you believe that, Black Cat?
No, but others may. Our neighbors, the Minotari, are already disturbed.
Where'll we find this La France? How many men does he bring?
They are 7. La France is aide to the leader, Antoine Larocque. In their trade goods, they bring British flags and medals. Even now, this Larocque is on his way here to speak to you.
Larocque coming here?
It is true.
You will excuse me, gentlemen.
No, we won't, Charbonneau. Stay where you are. Now tell us why you're afraid of this Larocque.
Oh, it is not fear exactly, huh? It is only that in past seasons I've worked for him. And he will be angry when he finds I have taken employment from you.
You have a right to work for you, please.
My friend, I must not seem to take sides in this. Not at present.
You wish to go?
Yes.
Then go. You are a good friend.
Thank you. Good day, my friend.
We permitted Sacagawea to leave the room. Indeed, Charbonneau suggested it. And then the three of us sat back to wait for Larocque. Charbonneau, what sort of man is this Larocque?
Young, adventurous, greedy for quick profit. In many ways, he is the typical French-Canadian who has joined with the English in the hope that he has chosen the winning side. He fancies himself clever and urban, which he really is not.
Captain Clark, or is it Captain Lewis?
Both of us are here. Come in, Larocque.
You expected me. You know my name. Now I understand. It was you, Charbonneau, who heard I was here and informed our American friends.
Oh, no, Larocque, no. But I wish you to meet my employers, huh? Captain Meriwether Lewis, Captain William Clark.
I am honored.
Sit down, Mr. Larocque, and tell us what's on your mind.
Does one have to have something on his mind to seek out a company of other white men in a land of benighted savages?
You have come with 7 men from your base on the Assiniboine. You have allowed your man La France to spread falsehoods against us among the people you call benighted savages.
Captain, that is a most unfriendly statement.
We'll expect you to put a muzzle on this, La France, and since Louisiana is now a part of the United States, there will be no distribution of George III medallions and Union Jacks to the Indians.
As you wish. I will give out beads and vermilion, which are more popular anyway. I am here not as a newcomer, but as a man who has for years conducted trade with the Mandans and the Minataris. For several years I have used the same interpreter, but now I learn that you have hired him.
Well, we might loan him to you from time to time.
Oh, that would be most kind.
If Mr. Charbonneau is willing, of course.
Oh, I'm willing, if I receive additional pay from Monsieur Larocque.
Oh, very well, Charbonneau. I plan a brief trip to the Minotari villages on the Knife River. You will meet me day after tomorrow in the Upper Mandan village, provided, of course, you can be spared for a month.
That is agreeable, Captain Clark.
We'll be right here when you get back.
Thank you. Day after tomorrow, Larocque, huh? Now, if you gentlemen will excuse me.
Of course.
Charbonneau is good with the Minataris because he understands them.
As long as his personal life doesn't interfere with his efficiency.
Exactly.
May I offer you a dram of whiskey?
Oh, yes, thank you. I couldn't help but notice your fine equipment. And you have admirably disciplined troops. Stalwart, strong, capable of anything.
There you are, Larocque. Very well, thank you.
To your long journey.
Our long journey?
You are exploring to the west.
Seems we can't hide it any longer.
I am an experienced man in the wilderness. Why don't you take me along?
Are you serious?
I am.
If you want to go west, you'll have to organize your own expedition.
Perhaps I will. By the way, I have been reliably informed that Britain has a right of access to the Mississippi and Missouri river systems.
You've been grossly misinformed. Both river systems are entirely within the territorial limits of the United States.
Isn't that a matter for the surveyors and the cartographers to determine?
Captain Clark is a surveyor and a cartographer. For your information, Laroque, Louisiana extends to the northern tributary of the Assiniboine, the Qu'Appelle River.
That's as far north as Lake Winnipeg. I find that impossible to accept.
But it's a fact, Laroque. You'll be glad to know that our president, Thomas Jefferson, has decided on a policy of free trade in Louisiana for the present. That means the English may continue to trade with the Indians as long as they treat them fairly.
I refuse to accept you as either a political or economic judge. However, I also refuse to quarrel. I thank you for the use of Charbonneau. I will see that our friend keeps a rein on his tongue. Good day, gentlemen.
Charbonneau went with Laroque and his traders, and during the month that he was gone, weather took hold of the fort. Even my big active dog, Scannon, preferred to stay indoors. On Christmas Day, celebrated with extra rations and a salute from the swivel guns, it was so cold that the river ice groaned, cottonwood boughs boomed like musketry, and the guard had to be changed every hour to keep the men on duty from freezing to death. And then one windless, icy day in early January, Charbonneau returned. Unsmiling, nervous, he approached Billy and me in our workroom.
Gentlemen, may I speak to you both, of course?
You look worried.
My friend, Laroque, says he asked to join the expedition, and you refused. He's a good man. It would be of great value.
To the British or us?
To us, of course.
We can't take the chance of hiring a man so dedicated to British objectives.
I see. There is another subject, huh? When I agreed to go, there were things we did not discuss.
And now you want to speak up.
You are getting two people instead of one.
We hired you, not your wife. We agreed to take her along when you asked.
Yes, but she will render valuable service. Remember, she speaks Shoshone.
You want more money?
Yes. And I will not do heavy lifting or pull or pull both. Huh? I am not a common laborer.
We all pull and carry heavy weights when necessary.
Oh, I am a specialist, and I must have $50 for the two of us.
Billy, you haven't said anything.
I've been too amazed.
Do you agree we can struggle along without him?
I think so.
Charbonneau, you're fired. You have until noon to get your gear out of the fort.
But what will you do when you reach Shoshone country?
Use sign language. Now get out of here. You actually believe he's so important he can dictate to us?
Either that or Laroque paid him to do it.
That could be an act of harassment, something to make our progress just a little bit more difficult.
Who is it?
Charbonneau.
Come in.
I am back.
So we see.
I wish to say that, I spoke hastily, heedlessly. Oh, I cannot take my wife out into this cold. I wish to remain.
Very well. But if pulling or towing or heavy lifting is called for, you will do your share.
Yes, more than my share.
We're taking you back because of your wife.
Because of Sacagawea?
We don't want her out in the cold.
January gave way to February, and the fort became almost a factory of preparations for spring. In contrast to Moses Reed, the sullen-acting convicted deserter, John Newman, discharged for insubordination, worked as eagerly and as hard as any of the men assured of a place in the upriver contingent.
Meriwether, I think Newman's trying to make up for his mistake.
I know, he has for months.
Or should we give him a second chance?
I don't know, Billy.
Neither do I.
Billy Clark took over direct supervision of the extra boatmen and soldiers, 14 of them, who would take the keel boat and its valuable cargo downriver to St. Louis. Aboard would be all the information we'd collected to date from Mr. Jefferson, as well as specimens of flora and fauna. and the two specimens of disobedience, Reed and Newman. In February, a troubled Charbonneau brought Sacagawea to us. She was undergoing labor pains. Although Meriwether and I had considerable practical experience in medicine, this would be our first attempt at obstetrics. Sacagawea was long hours in labor, and we began to worry about losing her. Until George Drouillard recalled an old Indian method of bringing on the birth. In the village, we secured rattles from the tail of a diamondback, pulverized them into a powder. With some skepticism, I mixed the powder in water and gave it to Sacagawea to drink. And within 10 minutes, she delivered the child. Here, look at him, Sacagawea.
Him, Sacagawea. Boy!
Sacagawea named the boy Baptiste. Billy, immediately fond of the bright-eyed little fellow, nicknamed him Pompey because he was such a soldier about getting born. And then winter began to soften into spring. The ice broke up. Noisy formations of birds began to fly north. On a gray day in March, we gathered on the bank of the river for the departure of the keel boat. A number of the Mandans came to watch. Also Larocque, who took in everything with the greatest of interest. Then John Newman leaped out of the boat and came to us.
Captain Lewis, Captain Clark, I'm sorry. I tried to show you how I felt.
We know, Newman.
I want to go on with you. Please, sir?
We're going into the unknown. We can't be sure of what we'll have to face. A man who cracked under strain once could do so again. I'm sorry, we can't take it.
But, Captain...
You heard the order. Now back in the boat.
Yes, sir.
That was a hard decision to make, Meriwether.
There's so much at stake, I had to turn him down.
Well, you were right.
In another week, we had loaded our boats and were poised on the riverbank for our start. Black Cat and several Mandans came to bid us goodbye.
You will return?
Yes, Black Cat. A year, perhaps less.
My people are sad.
That means we are friends.
Good fortune go with you.
Thank you.
All set, Meriwether.
Men, we are about to penetrate unexplored country of at least 2,000 miles in width. Let's get on with it.
You have been listening to Horizons West, the continued story of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Chapter 3, Dakota Winter, starred Harry Bartell as Meriwether Lewis and John Anderson as William Clark. Featured in the cast were Sebastian Cabot, Helen Gerald, Bill Keane, Cliff Holland, Howard Culver, and John Cedar. Our story was written by Carl A. and William Tunberg and directed by William Lally. Sound patterns by Gene Twombly. Michael Rye speaking. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Remember, a Hallmark card when you care enough to send the very best. Tonight from Hollywood, the makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you Edward Arnold in Laura Ingalls Wilder's The Long Winter on the Hallmark Playhouse. Each week, Hallmark will bring you Hollywood's greatest stars in outstanding stories chosen by one of the world's best-known authors, the distinguished novelist, Mr. James Hilton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Hilton. Tonight on our Hallmark Playhouse, we present our dramatization of a story by Laura Ingalls Wilder called The Long Winter. Have you ever stepped from a transcontinental train onto the platform of some railway station when the temperature is 40 below? Even a few minutes of it is something you'll never forget if it's a new experience. But perhaps it isn't. Perhaps you've been living in a place like that this winter. Well, the characters of our story lived in the Dakotas many years ago. Indeed, they were the kind of people who founded the Dakotas, a fine breed. And to play one of them in our leading role tonight, we have chosen a fine actor, Edward Arnold. And now a word about Hallmark cards from Frank Goss before we begin the first act of The Long Winter.
May we remind you once again that for every occasion important to your friends and loved ones, there are Hallmark cards to carry your thoughts across the miles, across the years, or merely across the way. A Hallmark card says what you want to say, just the way you want to say it. And that identifying Hallmark on the back says that you cared enough to send the very best. Now, Hallmark Playhouse presenting The Long Winter, starring Edward Arnold.
As Laura made her way toward the old Buffalo Wallow south of the Ingalls claim shanty, she could hear the cheerful whirring sound of the mowing machine. Pa was cutting the thick and tall blue-stemmed grass for hay. The sky was high and quivering with heat over the shimmering Dakota prairie. In early August, it was hard to believe that wind and snow and ice could ever drive the sun out of the sky, wither the grass, and freeze the pond.
Whoa, Sam, whoa, David, whoa there, whoa.
I brought you a jug of water, Pa.
Sure, thank you, Laura.
Fresh from the well. I pumped it myself.
That's my big girl. That's fine. That just hits the spot. Phew, the sun almost makes you want a bunch of sprouts in your hat to make shade.
I don't see how you stand it, Pa.
Oh, a man works better when he's warmed up, half pint. Well, I better get on the move. Lots of mowing yet to be done before sundown.
Oh, Pa, look. There's a haycock you didn't pick up.
There is? Where?
Over there, in the tall grass.
Oh, by the pond there? That isn't a haycock, child. That's a muskrat house.
It is?
Yeah, let's have a closer look at it, shall we? The horses will stand.
Oh, I'd like to. Gee, it's big, isn't it? Bigger than me.
And bigger around than the two of us could reach. Oh, my, we're going to have a hard winter, Laura.
How do you know, Pa?
Well, the colder the winter will be, the thicker the muskrats build the walls of their houses. You know, I never saw a muskrat's house built heavier than this one.
But, Pa, how can the muskrats know about the winter going to be cold?
Well, I don't know how they know, but they do. God tells them, I suppose.
Then why doesn't God tell us?
Well, because we're not animals, we're humans. And we got to take care of ourselves.
But I thought God takes care of us.
Oh, he does, my dear, he does. He gives us the sunshine and the rain and the land. But we have to clear the land and plow it, and we have to sow the wheat and tend it and harvest it and make it into bread for our use. And other men make other things. They work in shops and in factories. Some plan and invent, some supervise and manage, and all together we have built a great nation here in America. But each of us as an individual can do as it pleases, will it?
Can't muskrats do what they please?
No, my dear. Just look at that muskrat house. Now, muskrats have to build that kind of a house. They always have, and they always will. But folks build all kinds of houses. And if their houses don't keep out the weather, it's their lookout. Man's free and independent.
Oh.
Well, come along now, little half-pint. Come along. Your mother will be wondering what's become of you. And I got to make hay while the sun shines. Lots of hay. We're going to have a long winter.
Wind almost scares you, doesn't it, Ma?
No reason why it should.
Do you think it's going to snow, Ma?
Well, if it does, it'll be the first time I ever heard of a blizzard in September, Carrie.
Pa said it was going to be a hard winter.
Not winter yet. Take a look at that pie in the oven, Laura.
It's beginning to brown, Ma. Looks good. I've never heard of green pumpkin pie before.
Well, the frost killed most of the pumpkins before they could ripen. And we wouldn't do much if we didn't do things that nobody ever heard of before.
Is Pa going to shoot a wild goose for Sunday dinner, Ma?
Yes, child.
Maybe he won't get a goose. Maybe he'll get some ducks.
Goose or ducks, one or the other. The pond's full of them this time of year.
Pa! Hello, Daddy.
Oh, come over by the stove, Charles. That wind must be raw.
It is. I walked into town. Got your piece of salt pork for Sunday.
Charles, what's the matter?
I don't know, my dear, but there's not a goose or a duck on the pond. And it seems that every living thing that runs or swims is hidden away somewhere.
Maybe God told them like he did the muskrats. What did God tell the muskrats, Pa?
Never mind now, Carrie, child. Supper's ready and your father's hungry, no doubt.
Caroline, we're moving to town as soon as we can.
Why?
I've got to haul the hay into town first for the horses, the cow, and the heifer. If I hurry, I can haul one more load in before dark.
Oh, goodness, you just came in.
But there's no time to lose, my dear. This house is nothing but a claim shanty. It doesn't keep out the cold. Our store building in town is good and tight and warm, and the stable is, too. And as long as the trains keep running, we'll be a whole lot safer there.
Oh, now, Charles, you're not going to haul a load of hay before supper.
Supper will wait, Caroline, but I'm afraid the weather won't.
Laura, look out the window. Isn't it beautiful? Yes. Yes, it is. Like a cloud almost. Dropping down.
Yes, the snow is beautiful, all right. But just the same, I'm glad it didn't come till we got moved into town. But there's no telling when I can get the rest of the hay hauled in.
Well, let's see now. Your father and I'll have the room at the head of the stairs. You girls can have the front room.
I wish we had a place like this out in the claim.
Well, you could be glad we have it in town, where a train comes every day with coal and supplies.
I don't see what good it is to be in town. We haven't been out of the house hardly in a month.
Now, Laura.
You Jiminy crickets. Damn. Oh, must be 40 below or better out there.
Pa, your whiskers are all white, so you look like an old man.
No wonder. I had to dig my way into the stable again. The snow's piled up high in the door since noon. Here, Laura, take the pail, will you?
Okay.
I'm afraid there isn't much milk, and what there is froze solid before I could get it in the house.
Well, let's be thankful for the little there is. There'll be less before there's more.
Things don't look too bright, my dear. There's no coal left at the lumber yard. Folks burn so much in this cold weather, and old Eli didn't have much on hand.
What are we going to do, Charles?
Oh, we're lucky, Caroline. Why, because we got lots of hay and we'll burn that.
Burn hay in the cook stove, Pa?
Sure, why not?
How, Pa?
Well, we'll twist the hay into sticks. It's not easy, I can tell you, but it'll help out till the trains get through. Come on, Laura, I'll show you. Well, there isn't a drop of kerosene in town. And Loftus hasn't got a bit of meat or flour left in the store. Armando Wilder let me have his last bucket full of wheat, though.
Well, we'll just have to make that do. Laura, Charles, fetch in a couple of handfuls of beans. Still a few left in the barrel. And 5 potatoes. Plenty of them, thank goodness.
All right, Ma.
You know, I wish there was a grist mill in town. You can't just boil the wheat, can you, dear?
Oh, but Charles, we have got a grist mill.
We have?
Sure. Hand me that old coffee grinder. We'll get along until the train gets through.
Oh, my dear. You're wonderful. Yes, we'll get along. Together, I know we will.
Did you find out about the train? Is it coming through tomorrow?
There'll be no train till spring. Not till the warm winds come. Till the Chinook starts blowing.
Charles.
As fast as they clear the track into the Tracy City cut, it fills in again. The crew has given up.
Oh, but they can't do that. Well, we'll starve. Or freeze to death.
Now, Caroline, we've been through harder times than this together. We've always made out. Like you've always said, it takes courage to open up a new country. And faith in the Lord. You should hand me my fiddle.
Here you are, Pa.
Now then, I want you to sing, all of you. Sing like you've never sung before. We want the Lord to know that the Ingalls have courage and faith. The Lord our rock in him we hide, shelter in the time of storm. Secure whatever may betide, our shelter in the time of storm.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of The Long Winter, starring Edward Arnold. Around my house these last few weeks, I've heard a lot of talk about purple. It seems that's one of the big colors of fashion this spring, and all the ladies are planning on a hat of either lilac, orchid, or violet, or maybe all three. Anyway, when I went down to select my Easter cards, knowing that Hallmark cards always reflect the latest fashions, I fully expected to see purple bunnies. So I was really pleased when I found whole counters of beautiful Hallmark Easter cards in every color imaginable. I welcomed the delicate spring sky blues and pinks of the Easter bunny's ears, the creamy whites and waxy greens of the gardenias as you welcome the first sunny day of spring. And I know that when my wife receives the pink and white Easter card I selected for her, it will make her eyes all the brighter under her new purple hat, because the words inside the card say something extra special. And that Hallmark in the back means something, too. To her, just as to your family and friends, that Hallmark on the back of Easter cards, as it does on other cards you send, means you cared enough to send the very best. Now back to James Hilton in the second act of The Long Winter, starring Edward Arnold.
The pioneers who settled our Midwestern prairies were tough. They were determined, and they had faith. Charles Ingalls and his family were of this breed and blood, but even they found the Dakotan winter a challenge, the long winter that seemed as if it would never end.
There's an extra potato, Charles. They're not big ones, but you must keep up your strength.
But, Caroline, I've already had mine.
Well, eat it to save it, then. We don't want it, do we, girls?
Oh, no, thank you, Ma. Truly, I don't want it.
Sure. Well, in that case, well, how's the potato barrel holding out?
Oh, there must be almost a bushel there.
But the wheat's almost all gone, isn't it?
Oh, we'll manage somehow. Already it's the end of January, then February is a short month, and March will be spring. Yeah, there's nothing like pork grease to bring out the flavor in a potato.
I'm afraid that's the last of the salt pork, Charles.
And you know, Caroline, Loftus was telling me he heard there's a settler 18 or 20 miles south or southeast of here raised 300 bushels a week last summer. And he's wintering in his claim shanty.
Oh, Charles, you're not going...
Well, Loftus says he'd buy the wheat if somebody could go after it. He's the only man in town who's got the money to pay for it.
I hope you're not thinking of starting out on such a wild goose chase.
Well, a man might do it. With a couple of days of clear weather and a snowfall to hold up the sled?
No. Oh, no, Charles, no. A blizzard might come up any time. And there are no roads, no marks of any kind.
Well.
Charles, where are you going?
Oh, I'm going over to Loftus' store. The Wilder brothers will probably be there, and maybe some of the others. I won't be long. The blizzard is letting up some. Might be clear tomorrow. Hey, Loftus, are you still willing to put up the money for that settler's wheat?
I said I would, didn't I? Don't know who's to go after it, though.
I will.
What?
Well, there's folks starving in this town, Almanzo.
Now, at 40 miles. We haven't had more than one clear day at a time since this thing started. You'd be lucky to make it in a day.
Well, you're a storekeeper, Royal. A farmer has to take chances, and I'm a farmer. No telling when this weather will let up and folks in this town have to eat in the meantime.
Ingalls is right, Royal. I'm going with him.
Now, wait a minute, Almond.
Need time. Count out your money, Loftus.
Got it right here. $300. I'll pay up to $1.50 a bushel.
Well, I'm afraid you'll have to pay whatever we can get the wheat for. We appreciate your town spirit, though, Loftus. We'll get as much as we can for as little as we can.
If you can get through. And if you can find the settler. And if he's got the wheat, and if he'll sell.
We'll take that chance. There'll be no charge for hauling. Am I right, Almanzo?
Right. When do we leave, Ingalls?
Just before sunup, as the weather clears.
It's starting to snow again, Ma.
Not the first time it snowed this winter.
But Pa isn't back.
Standing by the window won't bring him back, child. And there's still an hour or so before dark.
What if he doesn't make it, Ma?
Now, girl. You wouldn't want your pa to see you like this, would you? He'll be all right now. I know it.
But you can't even see the stores across the street, Ma. And out on the prairie.
We won't talk about it anymore. Come on, girls. Now, if you'll sit by the stove here, I'll read you some verses. That'll help pass the time till Pa gets back. That's it. Now, smile. Now, then, let's see. Oh, here's one. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. In the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. When I can read my title clear to mansions in the skies, I'll bid farewell to every fear and wipe my weeping eyes. My light's getting so poor I can't see to read anymore. Potatoes must be about done anyway. Well, we'll set the table, girls. Father will be hungry when he gets back.
He's frozen, I'll bet. Maybe I better get some more hay sticks for the fire. Shall I, Ma?
Yes, as long as you don't have to twist anymore.
Oh, no. Pa twisted a lot of them last night, remember?
Yes.
Ma! Ma, it's Pa! He's back! I can see
can't get at us. You've tried all winter, but we'll beat you now.
How much wheat did you and Almanzo bring back, Charles?
60 bushels at $1.25 a bushel. Loftus and some of the men are unloading it now. Everybody's anxious to buy it.
Oh, $1.25 a bushel. I guess 2 bushels will be about all we can afford.
Oh, but that'll see us through, though, Caroline. I'll go get it the first thing in the morning. Thanks to Loftus, nobody will have to starve around here now, even if the trains don't come through till next May.
Thanks to you and Almanzo Wilder, too.
Who do you suppose that is?
Well, you stay by the fire there. I'll see. Why, Mr. Fuller.
Evening, Miss Ingalls. Your husband here?
Well, yes, he's just...
What is it, Fuller?
Hello, Ingalls. Did you charge Loftus anything for hauling that wheat? Almanzo Wilder says he didn't.
No, I didn't charge him a cent. Why?
Well, Loftus is charging $3 a bushel for that wheat.
He what?
How much wheat have you got left, Ingalls?
Caroline?
Laura ground up the last of us this morning. Those 2 loaves of bread is all there is.
Come on, Fuller. You get the Wilder boys. We'll have a talk with Loftus right now. Let me handle this. Well, Loftus?
$3 a bushel is what I said. My wheat, isn't it? I paid good, hard money for it.
You paid $1.25 a bushel.
That's my business.
Yeah, we show you whose business it is.
Look, you so much as touch my property, and I'll have the law on you. That wheat's mine, and I got a right to charge any price I wanted for it.
That's right, Loftus, you have. This is a free country, and every man's got a right to do as he pleases with his own property. But remember, Alonzo, and I didn't charge you a cent for hauling that wheat.
Well, why didn't you? I stood ready to pay any reasonable charge for hauling.
But $3 a bushel? Ingalls and I didn't make that trip to skin a profit off folks that are hungry.
Almanzo's right, Loftus. You know, there's not enough money in the mint to pay for that trip. We didn't make it for you. We made it for my wife and our 2 little girls and for all the other folks in this town who need that wheat to keep alive. Look at it this way, Loftus. We're all in this thing together. We've all got the same purpose. There's lots of land here for everybody. The soil is rich, we know that. But what chance could one man have alone in a Dakota prairie? Against the wind, the snow, the rains, and the drought? Together we can lick it. And we are licking it, Loftus. We're building wealth and strength here. Not for ourselves, but for all America. So that those who come after us will have richer lives, more abundance, greater security. Good heavens, Loftus, you're one of us. You're not a selfish man. You're a free, independent American, living in a great democracy, working in a great cause. Not for yourself alone, but for all men. I can't put it any plainer, Loftus, or more honestly.
You can buy the wheat for just what it cost me, $1.25 a bushel.
Awake, Gary? Yes. Listen, I have been. The snow's melting on the roof. Look, it's running down in torrents. What does it mean, Laura? The Chinook is blowing. Come on. Ma, the Chinook is blowing. The Chinook is blowing.
Yes, I know, girls. I know. Spring has come at last.
And breakfast is all ready. You can sit down just the way you are.
In our 90s, Ma?
Sure. Nice warm.
Well, girls, we beat old winter at last, didn't we? Here it is spring, and none of us lost or starved or frozen.
Just potatoes and bread, Charles. Not much to celebrate out.
Oh, it'll taste different this morning because we know that the trains will be coming through soon. How you ever managed with so little, my dear, I'll never know. You're a real wonder, Carol. And I've got a lot to be thankful for.
I'll bet the muskrats are glad the winter's over, too. Will God tell the muskrats that spring is here, Pa?
Oh, I bet he whispered in their little ears better than a month ago. We thank thee, dear Lord, for all the many blessings received at thy hands, for the land you have given us to work, and for the happiness we enjoy as a family. bless our nation, our home, and our lives, and this food to our use. We ask it in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
James Hilton will return in a moment. I guess it had to happen, but it still came as something of a shock when I answered the phone just before broadcast time. The voice at the other end said, don't you Hallmark folks make a card to send to the income tax man? Well, about the nearest I could come to answering that request with its association to greenbacks was to suggest taking a look at the bright greens decorating the gay Hallmark St. Patrick's Day cards, and leave it to the charm of the Irish to cast away the worries and cares of this week in March. You'll find these eye-twinkling Irish cards at the store where you buy Hallmark cards. And while you're there, why not select those Easter cards you want to send? They are lovely. And you can find one that helps you say what you want to say, just the way you want to say it. See these and all the other Hallmark cards when you want to remember your friends or share a smile with them. On special days or any days, a Hallmark card is warmly received. For remember, that Hallmark on the back tells in its own way you cared enough to send the very best. Here again is James Hilton.
Whenever your name appears in the cast, Eddie, the audience can always expect a great performance, and tonight was no exception. Thanks for being with us.
Well, it's always great to appear on the Hallmark Playhouse, Jimmy, and I enjoyed it very much tonight.
And, Eddie, we're all aware of your acting ability, but probably very few of our listeners know that you're a pretty fine cook, too. Haven't you got some cooking hints to pass on to our audience?
Well, as you know, Jimmy, I do like to cook exciting and different dishes, so I always begin with a good recipe. I use the best of ingredients and then see to it that I put in the right thing at the right time. But, wait a minute. That sounds like the recipe the Hallmark folks use when they make their Hallmark cards. The right words at the right time and the whole served in beautiful surroundings. I guess that's a recipe for many of the things that give us pleasure, isn't it, Jimmy?
Surely is. And speaking of pleasures, I think we have a special treat in store for our listeners next Thursday night, Eddie.
On Hallmark Playhouse, that's not unusual, Jimmy. And what have you planned for next week?
Our story will be John Sedge's The Long Love, a very warm portrait of an American marriage and the problems encountered. And for our star, we have that popular young actor, Van Johnson. Our Hallmark Playhouse is every Thursday. Our director-producer is Bill Gay. Our music is conducted by Lynn Murray. And our script tonight was adapted by Axel Grunberg. Until next Thursday, then, this is James Hilton saying good night.
Look for Hallmark cards that are sold only in stores that have been carefully selected to give you expert and friendly service. Remember, Hallmark cards when you care enough to send the very best. Edward Arnold will soon be seen in the Paramount picture Dear Brat. The role of Caroline tonight was played by Lorene Tuttle. Anne Whitfield was Laura. Norma Jean Nilsson was Carrie. Also in our cast were Ted Osborne, Lamont Johnson, Sam Edwards, and Parley Bear. This is Frank Goss saying goodnight to you all until next week at this same time, when Hallmark Playhouse returns to present Van Johnson in John Sedge's The Long Love. And the week following, Margaret Irwin's Elizabeth, Captive Princess, starring Anne Baxter. And in the weeks to follow, Francis Parkinson Kai's Joy Street on the Hallmark Playhouse.
This is KMBC, Kansas City, Missouri.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, presents The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
If you like good beer, you'll find it pays to be curious and learn about Schlitz for yourself. And now, the Halls of Ivy.
The halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we be far, far away.
Welcome again to Ivy. Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. 5 people didn't go to bed at all last night here at Ivy. Grogan, the campus policeman who was making his rounds, 2 sophomores and a freshman who were investigating certain mathematical phenomena, such as the odds against drawing to an inside straight, and Dr. William Todd Hunter Hall, the president of Ivy, who's been working at his desk in the study of his home since shortly after dinner yesterday. The chapel bell is striking 8 as his wife, the former Victoria Cromwell of the London stage, enters and says,
Good morning, Dr. Hall.
Good morning.
And congratulations. You've just set a new record for going without sleep. Any statement for the press, champ?
Yes, I'm glad to bring the cup back to Ivy, where it belongs, and I'm looking forward with great confidence to the international match in Brussels next spring.
Oh, poor darling. How do you feel?
Surprisingly well, if the ability to cope with whimsy on an empty stomach is at all indicative. Do I look awful?
Interesting, rather. One so seldom sees a chartreuse complexion.
Bad as that, eh? Well, it's worth it. One seldom sees an annual report as superb as the one I've just finished writing. Here, have a look.
Let's see. The state of the college.
Or, in the vernacular, out of the red and over the hump with Hall.
You sound enormously set up about it.
I've reason to be. I'd no idea how much I'd accomplished last year until I put it all down in black and white. The endowment fund is up, the building fund is up, enrollments are up.
And what are you doing up? Will you be working very much longer this morning?
I'm ready for bed.
Well, good. Penny will be right in with your overcoat and hat.
My overcoat and hat? Vicky, we've been married long enough for me to make a confession. I never go to bed wearing an overcoat and hat. I'm one of those odd fellows who slips between the sheets wearing only pajamas. I know I should have revealed this before,
stop.
but
I told Penny to bring in our hats and coats because I'm taking you for a walk. A short walk for relaxation, a light breakfast, and then a good long sleep.
Excuse me, Mum.
Yes,
I
Penny.
brought you things. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Penny. I'll take those. Thank you. You're looking well this morning, Penny.
Thank you very kindly, sir. And you're looking... It's a very nice morning for a walk.
You don't say.
Yes, sir. It snowed last night, the first real snow we've had this year, and it's ever so lovely. Makes one want to go out and throw snowballs at top hats.
Well, feel free to do so whenever the spirit moves you, Penny. I'm ready, Victoria. Penny, you didn't by any chance notice a snowman on our front lawn, did you?
Should I have, sir?
Well, after the first really good snowfall of the year, the students have the custom of building a snowman in front of the home of each faculty member. You've heard of that, haven't you?
No, sir.
And the more affection they have for you, the larger the snowman they build.
There ain't one on our lawn. Allow me, sir.
Why, I dare say the snow fell too late for them to have taken advantage of it last night.
Which way should we walk, Toddy? Along Faculty Row?
Yes, that'll do nicely.
Be back in half an hour, Penny. That custom the students have, it's almost cruel in a way.
Not in the least. I admit it must seem so to those members of the faculty for whom very small snowmen are built, but they survive. Professor Heaslip, for example, has survived years of snowmen not much larger than a Drosophila fruit fly.
Professor Heaslip is lucky the students built any token of affection on his lawn. If anything, his personality suggests excavation.
And the report I've just finished makes it more certain than ever he won't get my job. His carefully cultivated friendship with the chairman of the board notwithstanding. It's really a smashing report, Vicky. I raised almost $1 million in endowments, built...
Built what? What's wrong?
Look, there's a snowman in front of Professor Quincannon's house.
Oh.
The snow came early enough after all.
Well, perhaps it wasn't the students, Toddy. Professor Quincannon has 2 children. They may have built it. Children build snowmen, too, you know.
Of course, that must be it. I mean, after all, there's no reason to suppose the students would build one for Quincannon and overlook me, is there? I mean, there's no reason to suppose they're antagonistic to me. I mean, I don't see why they should be. Do you?
No, of course they're not. You were telling me about your smashing report. Toddy, come on.
Oh, yes, my report. I suppose I shouldn't have said it's a smashing report. It's not really smashing, but it's a darn good one. I believe I may say, without immodesty, that I'm good at my job. After all, a college president must have ability and...
Keenness of vision?
Well, all college presidents have keen vision. A few, in fact, can even see themselves in the White House in 1952. You know, I knew a man once who...
I'm listening. Or what? What are you staring at?
A snowman in Professor Howard's front yard.
Oh, yes. Oh, I suppose Professor Howard's children must have built one, too.
Professor Howard is a bachelor.
Yes, of course. I'd forgotten. Well, then, Professor Quincannon's children must have come over from next door. I remember when I was a child, I used to build snowmen all over the place. Couldn't get enough of them. Fairly cover the landscape and build one in front of my house and one next door and then one further down the street.
Yes, they could have come over from next door, couldn't they? Quincannon's children, I mean.
Well, of course they could.
They could have jumped over the hedge or even come around that way through the gate. Mm-hmm. It's not much more than 30 paces. And you know, they're very active youngsters, positively hyperthyroid.
Oh, they are.
Oh, one probably said to the other, let's build one now on old Howard's lawn.
Yes, exactly. As a matter of fact, I seem to remember having heard children shouting something like that earlier this morning. You were telling me about your report. Your report. I want to hear more about how darn good it is.
Oh, I suppose I shouldn't have said it's a darn good report. It's not really. It's a fair report. A little more. Vicky, darling, you spend much more time with the students than I do, really. What with your coaching the junior follies and all. You haven't heard any grumbling about my administration, have you?
None, Toddy, none.
Ah. It wasn't a very tall hedge, you know. Quincannon's children could have jumped over it.
Or crashed through. I mean, they're very sturdy.
Oh, it's the most natural thing in the world.
Yes, Toddy, let's turn down this street. I'm rather tired of Faculty Row. Same old hedges, same old houses. This street seems very charming.
Really? You find that row of garbage pails charming?
Oh, well, I suppose not. Oh, dear. There's a snowman in front of Professor Warren's house, too.
Yes, the young Quincannons have had quite a busy morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Dr. Warren.
Good morning, Mrs. Hall.
Good
out for a stroll?
Yes, we're out for a stroll.
Well, I find there's nothing like it on a morning like this for getting rid of the doldrums, don't you?
Occasionally.
We were just admiring the snowman in your front yard. It has a great deal of character.
Oh, it's a pip, isn't it? I know it's not supposed to be good form for a faculty member to pay any attention to this sort of thing, but when you're 70, as I am, hypocrisy is too much of a strain. I just look at that gleaming monster and glow, Doctor. Glow.
Well, I don't blame you. And yet, the custom in some cases can be cruel, don't you think? I mean, the ones that don't get built.
Nope. It's not the custom that's cruel. It's the crushing impact of truth. Some people can't stand up under it at all. You take a president of Ivy we had in 1900, that's before your time. Bessemer was his name. 1 year, every member of the staff had a snowman except Bessemer. Old Pop Gut Bessemer. He resigned a few weeks later, for reasons of health, of course.
Oh, that seems very impulsive of him, a little drastic.
Well, Ivy's a small school and always has been. Personalities play a much bigger part than they do at some of these giant diploma factories. You wouldn't care to continue as president if you knew that students would much rather tie a can to your tail. Would you, Doctor?
Well, now, that's an interesting way to put it, but, no, I suppose not.
Why, of course not. You look at it this way, Mrs. Hall. Teaching hardly ever pays off in money. The average prof makes only about $2,500 a year. And it hardly ever pays off in glory. I myself can name 10 baseball players or burlesque queens, bless them, for every teacher you can bring to mind. Well, then, what makes an old party like me, the last of the tobacco-chewing professors, or a man like your husband stay with it?
Pride in the job, I suppose.
Pride in the job. That and the feeling that maybe we're helping the young savages become not scholars, but men and women, and that they appreciate it. Take that away, and what's left?
Absolute zero.
Here I am lecturing the president. Tell you, when you arrive at my age and succeed in conning people to regard you as a lovable old gaffer, you get away with murder. Care to come in for coffee?
No, thank you. We have breakfast waiting at home.
That's the wisest decision you've made today. In all the world, no one concocts as nauseating a cup of coffee as I do. I'll see you soon, I hope, ma'am.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Dr. Warren.
He's a pip, isn't he? My snowman.
The very word for it. He's a pip.
Careful, don't slip on that snow.
By the way, Vicky, did I tell you I received a letter from Quesnel University this week?
I don't believe you did, Toddy. Why?
Well, they haven't heard of the renewal of my contract as president here at Ivy, and they've made me a very flattering offer. Treasurer of the university. At almost the same salary I have here.
Toddy.
Further, and, perhaps of more importance, it's a purely administrative job. I wouldn't come into contact with students at all. Not ever.
Toddy.
They requested the courtesy of a reply this week. It's really a most flattering offer. I rather think I'll accept. Yes, I think it would be best.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
We'll return to the halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman, in just a moment, as soon as we hear how a young actor got his first taste of fame.
Offhand, one would say there's scarcely a rhyme and hardly a reason for associating Shakespeare with Schlitz beer. But perhaps I better start at the beginning of my story. Our little theater group was putting on Romeo and Juliet, and I was this year's Romeo. Being handicapped by 2 left feet and an instinctive dread of high places, I don't mind telling you that climbing that balcony gave me a good deal of trouble in spite of considerable extra practice on my part. After our dress rehearsal, I still wasn't satisfied with my agility, so I decided to make a few practice climbs before calling it a night. As I reached the balcony the second time, I happened to glance down, and there below me I saw the rest of the cast gathered around drinking beer. The labels on the bottles told me it was Schlitz, and the expressions on the faces of my fellow players told me I was missing something. I knew Schlitz by reputation, but not by taste. So I climbed down from the balcony to find out what I was missing. If you could have seen me standing there in full Shakespearean costume, tasting Schlitz for the first time, you might have expected me to say something like, "'Pon my soul, what beer is this that lies so pleasantly upon the tongue?" But no, I just stood there speechless, grinning from ear to ear. The director, sensing my plight, said, "It seems that words can fail even an actor at a time like this. Let me say it for you. No wonder they call Schlitz the beer that made Milwaukee famous."
That surround us here today.
Returning to the halls of Ivy, we find a dispirited Dr. Hall strolling in the snow along Faculty Row with Mrs. Hall.
You're very quiet, Victoria.
I know. I'm concentrating. Trying to think of the right thing to say.
Oh, you don't have to say anything, my dear. The silent eloquence of the students has left very little unsaid.
Toddy, I know how you must feel. In a small way, I've been through it a number of times in the theater. Playing for laughter and applause and getting the rustle of programs and a few coughs. You can say to yourself, chin up and good show and carry on, all that. And over it all, you can hear the lorries backing up to the stage door to haul the scenery away.
Oh, this time they're going to haul the actor away from the scenery. And after I'd convinced myself that I'd given such a sterling performance. Smashing report, indeed.
Would it help if I tried a recital of Kipling's If? It kills them in the provinces.
It's likely to prove lethal here, too. But thank you, my dear, anyway. As organizer and sole member of the William Todd Hunter Hall Fan Club, you've done some noble work.
Oh, Toddy, you don't have to try and laugh it off for me. Get it out of your system, darling. Blow up.
Curse the Board of Governors. And their promise that I wouldn't have to spend my time wangling emoluments. Curse my folly in believing them. To the devil with all fatheads who kept me away from the students. Bah!
Oh, that was lovely.
No wonder they feel no affection for me. I'm so seldom with them. Not that to know me is to love me, you understand.
I understand nothing of the sort. I know you very well, and I'm mad about you.
How difficult it is to... Oh, thank you, my dear. How difficult it is to maintain contact with the student body. One college president I know scheduled a speech to the senior class for the sole purpose of proving that he actually did exist.
Oh.
And that's what's wrong with my report.
Toddy, I'm sure it's a superb report.
No, on the contrary, I omitted all reference, beyond a few statistics, to the most important part of any school, the students, and what they think about the state of Ivy. I should have found time to teach more courses. Look at Hutchins at Chicago and Conant at Harvard. The students are what make a college, not campus buildings and installations. Diogenes discoursed from a tub, and his students listened, and it was a school.
Toddy, look, talking of tubs, I see Professor Heaslip.
Where?
Through this hedge. He's just leaving his front door.
Is there a snowman on his lawn?
Yes, a very small one, which he has just made larger with 2 handfuls of snow. Oh, he's heard us and stepped back.
Well, hello there. Good morning, Skipper. Good morning, fair lady.
Good morning.
Good morning, Heaslip. It's a nice snowman you have there.
Yes, it's a very nice little one.
Oh, you should have seen it before the sun came up and melted it. Amazing how quickly it went. This is the warmest part of Faculty Row, you know.
Oh, really? I found the whole area very cold.
Oh, that's a mistake, Skipper. That snowman was inches lower. I mean higher a few minutes ago. It melted down considerably. Also, the boys and girls happened to have chosen a slight dip in the ground on which to build it. Actually, much taller than it looks. Optical illusion, you know. Not that I pay any attention to such things, of course.
Of course.
I'm happy the students like me as much as they do.
Of course.
I've often asked myself why. Naturally, I don't court their affection. I'm very strict, but fair pedagogue, if I say so myself. Perhaps it's the occasional humor with which I sprinkle my lectures.
For example?
Well, yesterday, I was discussing nature references in the poetry of the more eminent Victorians, one of whom referred to a dogwood tree in some lyric or other. I asked my students if they knew how to distinguish a dogwood tree, and when they said they didn't, I told them. By its bark. Well, I must be getting to class. Good morning, Skipper.
Good morning, Heaslip.
Good morning, fair lady.
Good morning.
The warmest part of Faculty Row, indeed. Ha! And yet, for the sake of that little snowman, I think I'd almost be willing to change places with Heaslip.
It'd be a little bit rough on me.
What do the boys and girls, as he calls them, see in the man? Well, it's true he has no enemies, but that's more than balanced for the fact that none of his friends like him.
Well, let's turn back, Toddy.
Oh, this is probably one of the last times we'll ever stroll along here, Victoria. It's an attractive little street, isn't it?
Yes.
I've lived here a long time.
And I've loved it here.
You see that house across the way?
Mm-hmm.
I had a furnished room there when I was an instructor. On the top floor. Kitchen privileges. Female visitors permitted only as far as the front parlor. Please turn out the light before leaving the room.
Liberty Hall, wasn't it?
Then when I was appointed assistant professor, I moved over to this side of the street. Sitting room, bedroom and bath. Hot plate permitted. No wild parties.
Oh, what exactly was a wild party at Ivy in those days?
If I remember correctly, more than 2 people laughing at the same time. But then I allowed my appointment to a full professorship to go to my head, and I rented that Charles Adams mansion over there.
Oh, it wasn't a Charles Adams mansion. It was a wonderful old place to live.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? I mean, after I brought you there. It was fairly empty when I occupied it all by myself. It echoed. Empty and unsatisfying, and nothing I did with it, new furniture, new drapes, fresh paint, seemed to propitiate the fat little gods of the hearth.
Until you offered them me as a human sacrifice, eh?
You might very well have been mistaken for a human sacrifice as I handed you down from the taxi that first morning. You were scared to death.
Yeah, I was. I'd never had a home of my own before. Just hotel rooms and flats and theater dressing rooms.
Well, here we are, driver. And this is for you. This is our home, Victoria.
Oh, William. It's exactly the way I imagined it. All covered with vines and so very peaceful and quiet. And, oh, look! My name's on the letterbox.
I sent a letter from England asking that it can be done.
Professor W. Hall and Mrs. Victoria Cromwell Hall. Oh, thank you, Toddy, for being such a dear love. Is it always as quiet as this?
Yes. Nearly always.
And empty. I don't see any students.
One of them has just seen you. You seem to have arrived in more ways than one. Come on, let's go inside.
Oh, please take my hand. I'm suddenly appalled at how little I know about taking care of a household.
Hang on tight, darling. I have shortcomings, too.
Promise you'll overlook mine until I've learnt my way around.
I promise. It'll be a mutual understanding. Now, what did I do with the key?
Can't you find it?
Well, I could swear I had it in my hand. I thought Oh, I do have it in my hand.
Oh, you're as nervous as I am, really, aren't you? I'm so glad. I keep on forgetting you're new at this, too.
There. No, wait.
What?
Wait. There's a little ceremony involved here, a very nice one. I'll carry you across the threshold, like this.
Oh, Toddy, look, a snowman.
A snowman? What's a snowman doing in our hallway?
Don't you see it? The students must have come while we were out walking.
Yeah, but they've no right to build one inside the house. And where did they get the snow in May?
Oh, Toddy, it's a snowman, and it isn't May, it's February.
Yes, I know, but...
So wherever you were, dear, come back. You have a snowman.
Yeah, but I mean
and
what?
It's the most enormous snowman you've ever seen. Right over there.
Oh! Yes, why, it is a snowman in our front yard. Vicky, This is our house, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. Oh, Toddy, you're always losing yourself in your thoughts.
Not completely, my darling, because you're always with me. But I don't understand this
Look,
snowman.
There seems to be a note attached to it. Yes, it's addressed to you. Here, what does it say?
Oh, one moment. To President Hall, the delay in construction is entirely your fault. If you must work nights, please do so in one of the back rooms and avoid those overlooking the front of the house. In that way, the traditional anonymity of the They misspelt anonymity. The traditional anonymity of the builders will be preserved. Affectionately, classes of 50 to 53 inclusive. Well, now. Of course, it was probably a good bit larger when they first put it up. After all, this is the warmest part of Faculty Row, you know.
Yeah, I know. Could you stand a bit of breakfast and some sleep now?
Breakfast, by all means, but no sleep as yet. Remember, I have the report to get out.
Another report?
The same one, but better. Far better and a great deal more inclusive. Directly after breakfast, I shall want to see the presidents of every class in my study. Yes, and the officers of all student organizations, too.
All at once in your little study?
Oh, we'll get them in, my dear. We'll get them in. Look at that snowman. It's good packing today.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
And now, here again is Mr. Ronald Colman.
The campaign to fight heart disease, this country's leading cause of death, is now underway. Diseases of the heart and blood vessels take an annual toll of more than 600,000 men, women, and children. A staggering number indeed. This dreaded menace accounts for 1 death out of every 3. A greater toll of lives than the next 5 causes of death combined. This year, give generously in support of this wonderful cause. Send your contributions to Heart, care of your local post office. Open your heart. Give to fight heart disease. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
We'll be seeing you next week at this time at the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman. The other players were Alan Reed, Gloria Gordon, and Arthur Q. Bryan. Tonight's script was written by Walter Brown Newman and Don Quinn. Our music was composed and conducted by Henry Russell. The Halls of Ivy was created by Don Quinn and directed by Nat Wolf. From the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company and the Halls of Ivy, our heartiest congratulations to station WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut on this, their 25th anniversary. Ken Carpenter speaking.
We love the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget, though we be far, far away.
Next, hear We the People over most of these same NBC stations.
It's Let's Pretend time! Hi there, pretenders. Welcome once again to Old Let's Pretend as we take our magic carpet ride with Judy, Gramps, and Tommy through their fanciful flights into fantasy with such exciting characters as Rumpelstiltskin, Jack the Giant Killer, Puss in Boots, and many others too numerous to mention. So let's get set for our magic carpet ride over the Milky Way and points beyond as we join that funsome threesome and another of their exciting escapades in the land of enchantment, Let's Pretend Land. And now here she is, a real beauty, your Let's Pretend gal friend, Judy.
Well, thanks, Ronald. Hi, pretenders. How are you all today? Oh, my, we have a really big Let's Pretend package all lined up and ready to go just as soon as Gramps and Tommy get it opened. Say, how are you two making out?
Oh, pretty good, Judy. Boy, today's Let's Pretend package seems to be bigger than usual. You suppose it could be on account of our answering the requests of so many of our round-the-world pretenders?
Jeepers, I don't know for sure, but I'll bet that's what it is, Gramps. Oh, boy. Gosh, this package is sure heavy. I wonder what is in it.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Sure has me buffaloed, Tommy. Say, maybe we better ask Judy on account of it's really in her department. Come on, Judy. How's about letting us in on the Let's Pretend surprise package secret? What is it?
All in good time, Gramps. But first, there are a couple of chores that we have to do with our request letters.
Well, what, for instance?
Well, we have to read some of them.
Oh.
Here's one, for instance, that you can read.
Oh. All right, Judy, here goes. Now, let me see. Where'd I put my glasses?
Gramps, you got them on.
Oh, so I have. Well, let's see. Where was I? Request letters. Oh, now I remember. Well, sir, this here letter's addressed to all three of us. It says, Dear Judy, Gramps, and Tommy. That's us. I am not old enough to write, so we'll let Mother write for me. I am 6 years old, and my brother Gary is 5. We listen to your stories every Saturday, and we sure enjoy them. It's so cold here that we have to stay in the house most of the time to play, because, you see, Alaska is so far north. We'd like to have you tell us the story of Snowdrop and the Seven Dwarfs. Thank you, Arleta Ray Herning, Fairbanks, Alaska. Now, that sure is a pretty letter, isn't it, Judy?
Oh, it certainly is, Gramps. And just for that, we've got a surprise for Arleta Herning and her brother, Gary.
And pray, what might that be, Fair Judy?
Gramps, you old silly. It's the... Oh, well, never mind. I think instead of me mentioning the surprise, I'll just turn the program over to Uncle Bill and the Pretenders. In fact, Uncle Bill doesn't even know about it yet either, because I've only told the Pretenders. So let's let the Pretenders tell about it. What do you say, Gramps and Tommy?
Well, sounds all right to me.
Me too. All right, then. The vote's unanimous. So, gang, here's Uncle Bill and the Pretenders with today's special request story. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you for that very nice welcome, audience. What's on your mind? Well, where's that story, huh? Well, Pat, Sybil, come in here, but quick.
Today's story, Uncle Bill, is the beloved Snowdrop and the Seven Dwarfs.
Hooray for our side. Well, what are we waiting for?
For Don Hughes to say how we travel.
Well, let's see, Pat. Those 7 little dwarfs worked hard in the mine, didn't they?
Sharp memory, but they did.
Then let's go right down in the mine with them.
Oh, well, a mine it is. Everybody get on the lift, and no stops till we hit the bottom of the shaft. All set? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, Joe, cut her loose.
Once upon a time, in a far-off kingdom, a lovely queen pierced her hand while knitting. As the drops of blood fell on the snow, she remarked to her devoted companion, Margot, that should she ever have a baby, she hoped the child's skin would be as white as the snow, her cheeks red as the drops of blood, and her black hair as the ebony knitting needle. And she would be called Snowdrop. Her wish came true. But the gentle queen passed over to the land beyond the sky. It is years later now in the castle of a cruel and heartless queen, Snowdrop's stepmother.
Margot.
Yes, Snowdrop.
Why doesn't my stepmother love me? I've tried so hard to be good and obedient.
Because she's jealous of your beauty, which she knows will be greater than hers.
But why should she hate me? Am I to blame?
Oh, she's a terrible woman, and if she heard me say that, she'd have me killed.
And that's exactly what will happen to you, Margot. Another speech like that, and Snowdrop will have a new governess. Oh, but get out! And take that brat with you. I don't want to catch sight of her again today.
Oh, come, Snowdrop, quickly.
Little wretch, I'm sick of the sight of her. Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I the most beautiful of all?
But thy reign will stop when the world first sees the fair Snowdrop.
Mirror, you lie. I won't have that child being called more beautiful than I won't. Well?
It is I, the hunter, madam. May I come in?
Come in, Hunter.
Yes, madam. You have an errand for me to do, Your Highness.
Yes, listen carefully. Here is gold and plenty of it. I want you to do a particular mission for me.
Gladly, if I can.
You can and must. I command it. Do you see that child playing in the yard?
Oh, that beautiful child with the black hair?
She isn't beautiful. Take her into the forest, and when you're deep in the woods, do away with her.
You mean kill that lovely little girl?
Exactly.
Madam, I can't.
It's your life or hers. Either you do as I say, or I'll have you killed as a spy. Now, which will you choose?
I have a family to care for, madam. I have no choice. When must I do it?
Right now. I don't ever want to see her again.
kill me, please. I've never harmed a soul.
Snowdrop, I can't kill you. I simply can't. What shall I do with you?
I'll run away, and the Queen will think I'm dead.
Yes, but she'll want proof of your death.
Kill a young deer. Take its heart to her, and she will think it's mine.
By my soul, I will. But will you be all right? This forest is filled with wild beasts.
I'm not afraid of them. They like me.
Pray heaven you're right, little one. Go quickly. May you find a safe shelter.
Thank you, dear hunter. Bye.
Such a thing. Anybody would think I was the laziest dwarf in the world.
As if there were any doubt of that, Yaha. What did you do all yesterday?
What did I do? Why, all day I fought with a great
Oh, brothers, listen to him. There he starts again to tell of yesterday's terrific fight.
What did you fight, Yaha? To keep from going to work?
I fought a wildcat, a great big cross-eyed wildcat. It weighed 250 pounds.
Thought you told me 300.
Yeah, well... Oh, well, it lost weight while we were fighting.
You clown. Come in and continue after supper. Well, Brother Dwarfs, it's good to be home, isn't it?
Yes. What? Somebody's been eating my bread.
Huh?
Somebody's been drinking my milk.
Why, somebody's been using my fork.
Oh, somebody's been eating my porridge.
And somebody's been near my bed.
And mine, too.
Dwarfs, here is the answer. Look at this beautiful little girl on my bed, asleep.
Are you sure she's only asleep? Maybe she's dead. Wake her up and ask her if she's dead.
Oh, keep quiet, you idiot. Of course she's asleep.
I'm going to sneeze.
Then run out into the yard.
Quickly. In time.
Oh, you idiot.
Oh, where am I?
Oh, please, little maiden, do not fear us.
No, don't be afraid. Excuse me.
Oh, you're funny when you sneeze. I'm not afraid anymore.
Oh, we welcome you here. What is your name?
Snowdrop is my name. What's yours?
Well, I am Morgan. And these are all my brothers, if not in blood, in bonds of friendship. Here's Lockton.
How do you do?
And Grote.
Hello.
Eric.
How do you do?
Basil.
Hello.
Torgan.
How do you do?
And that sneezing monkey over there is the bane of our lives. His name is Yaha.
Hello.
I'm glad to know all of you. Yaha, your sneeze is the loudest thing I ever heard.
Oh, you should hear me when I have hiccups.
And never mind. How did you happen to visit our cottage, Snowdrop?
Oh, that's a long story. Please, little dwarfs, I'm all alone in the world and so lonely. May I stay here and keep your little cottage clean and cook your meals? Please, I won't be in the way, and I'll work real hard. May I?
What do you say, dwarfs?
I, for one, am willing. I, for 6 dozen, am, too.
You make enough noise for 6 dozen, but speak only for 1.
Our cottage and all that is in it is yours, Snowdrop. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I know I'm going to...
Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I the most beautiful of all?
Thou art the fairest here, O Queen. But Snowdrop over the hills I ween. In the little house where the 7 dwarfs thrive is the sweetest and loveliest maiden alive.
Little offspring of the devil, I knew that hunter lied. This girl must die. I'll use every bit of magic I possess. I know. The poisoned apple, the red apple that kills and leaves no clue. I'll disguise myself as an old woman. I'll even share the apple with her. The poison will be only in the red side of it. She won't suspect it then. Be ready, my mirror. The next time you'll tell a different story. Anybody home, please? Anybody home?
Hello, old lady. Won't you come in?
Oh, thank you. I saw your cozy little cottage, and I'm so very tired. I hoped you wouldn't mind.
Of course not. Sit here and rest.
Oh, your cottage is so clean and shining. Do you live here all alone?
Oh, no. I'm housekeeper for 7 very dear little... What? I promised I wouldn't...
What?
Look, I've just made some tea. You'll have a cup with me, won't you?
Well, only on one condition. I'll share the tea with you if you'll share this apple with me.
Oh, no, old lady. You keep it for yourself.
Oh, then I can't have the tea, much as I'd like it.
Oh, dear. Oh, very well, then. Just one bite.
Then it must be from the lovely red side.
Oh, no.
I insist.
Then to please you. There. Thank you.
Now I will have some tea.
All right. There you... Do you take cream or... Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, lady, help me. I can't get... Oh...
Poison works quickly. It never fails. Much good your beauty will do you now, my fair Snowdrop. And so, Magic Mirror, you'll tell a different story now.
Say, Tommy, what's that you're looking at?
It's a picture of you and Judy and me on Let's Pretend.
Ooh, let me have a look at it. Say, that's a good picture of Judy, but I don't know about me. You look pretty good, too, Tommy.
Oh, stop being so hard to please, Gramps. I think it's a very good picture of you. In fact, it even flatters you a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
Oh, are these the pictures you're sending to all the pretenders who write in for 'em, Gramps and Judy?
That's right, Tommy.
Hey, and they're autographed, too.
Oh, look, it says, "To Jimmy, with best regards from all of us, Judy, Gramps, and Tommy." That's pretty nice, but my name looks a little hard to read. Do you think the pretenders will have a lot of trouble understanding it?
Oh, they might have a little, Tommy, but nothing to worry about.
Well, now it's time to get back to today's special request story. But don't forget to keep listening right after Act 2, because then we'll tell you how to get one of these pictures all for yourself. Now here's Uncle Bill and the pretenders with the rest of our story, Snowdrop and the 7 Dwarfs.
Snowdrop's stepmother, the Wicked Queen, was determined that Snowdrop should die. So, exerting all her magic, she poisoned the red side of an apple. Then, disguising herself as an old woman, she coaxed the unsuspecting Snowdrop to take a bite of the fruit. At the taste of the poison, Snowdrop fell into a death-like sleep, and the evil queen left her, believing her dead. Now it is the next day in the saddened cottage of the 7 little dwarfs.
It's no use, Dwarfs. We've done everything we can think of. Our Snowdrop is gone.
Oh, I can't believe it. Snowdrop, oh, little flower in your crystal coffin, speak to us.
Her heart is still. There's no life in her body. Our Snowdrop is gone forever.
How beautiful she is in death. We cannot put this lovely form into the cold earth.
No, I couldn't bear to think of it. That is why I suggested we make her a coffin of glass. We will keep her here always.
My precious little Snowdrop. So lovely. So still. How can we live without her? Someone is coming. Who are they, Groot?
A hunting party is approaching. It's royalty from the castle. Look, Morgan. They're stopping here.
Yes, there's the prince himself. They're coming up the path. Yaha.
Yes, Morgan.
A prince stops at our cottage. Make him welcome.
Enter, Prince.
We seek shelter for the night, friend. May we come in?
Your Highness, our humble cottage is yours. Though we are saddened by the angel of death, we will try to make you comfortable.
Thank you, little dwarf. Come in, then, quietly, please. There is sorrow here. Who has died, little man?
Our beloved Snowdrop, sire. You may see her if you like. She is here in this glass coffin.
Oh, what perfect beauty. Surely one so young, so lovely is not dead. She only sleeps.
Would it were so, sire.
Was it of illness she died?
We do not think so, Your Highness, but we can't discover the cause of her death.
I cannot believe she is dead. Little men, come with me. Bring this beautiful little lady to the castle. Then I will summon all the court physicians. And if in all the kingdom there is a cure or a way of restoring her to life, she will be made well again.
That is kind of you, Prince. What do you say, Brother Dwarf?
I would give my life to bring her back to us.
And I, too.
Then come. Lift the crystal coffin on your shoulders, and we shall start back immediately.
Very well. You, Yaha, stand at her feet.
All right,
Then you, Lockton, and Eric on one side with me. Groot, Bazel, and Torgan on the other. Are you all ready, men?
Yes, we're all ready.
Then let us start. Open the door, and be careful. Carry her gently, men.
Careful of the step.
Yes, watch it, men.
Oh, what's the matter, Yaha?
Be careful, Yaha. What's the matter?
I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, you stupid. You've dropped your end of the coffin. Oh, Yaha.
Listen. Do you hear that? It's from the coffin. It's Snowdrop.
She moved. Quickly. Help me lift the lids.
Oh, yes, quickly now.
She lives. Our Snowdrop lives.
What's this? Look, men. What? A piece of apple dropped from her mouth.
Lockton, why am I in this crystal case?
Snowdrop. Oh, our darling is alive again.
Snowdrop, are you all right?
What happened to you, Snowdrop? What did you do, Snowdrop? Did anyone come to the cottage while we were away?
What was the last thing you remember?
An old woman shared an apple with me. And I remembered nothing after that.
No wonder we could find no trace. The apple was poisoned. Your Highness, come here quickly.
Yes, little dwarf. What is it?
Look, our princess is alive and all right.
This is our Snowdrop, restored to life again.
I am unspeakably glad. But what happened?
Leave it to our Yaha. He would have one of his sneezing fits and stumble. That dislodged the poisoned apple Snowdrop had eaten.
Oh, thank heaven for that.
Oh, Prince, surely I have seen you somewhere.
And all my life, I have searched for someone like you, dear little Snowdrop. Dwarfs, if some day in the future she will consent, may I beg the hand of Snowdrop in marriage?
If Snowdrop should wish it, do we give our consent? What do you say, Snowdrop?
I know now where I've seen you, dear Prince. I have dreamed of you in my sleep. So that must mean that in time I will grow to love you.
I will devote my life to your happiness, my little princess. Come, dwarfs. Our procession is changed from one of sorrow to great happiness. Come.
Where, Your Highness?
To the palace, where all of you will be made welcome and have a home always.
Oh, how nice. Thank you, dear Prince. I couldn't live without my little friends. You will come, won't you?
Can we see Snowdrop every day?
Yes, Yaha.
And have pudding every day?
As often as you want it. What do you say?
Well, I say...
beautiful of all.
In the prince's castle, there is a bride. No lovelier girl in the countryside. Your fame, your power are dead, I ween. And in your place, Snowdrop is queen.
I don't believe it. You lie, you cheating mirror. It isn't so. I won't have it. You lie. There. You shan't tell me Snowdrop is alive and more beautiful than I can't breathe. Help me, someone.
Though she's broken the mirror, truth still lives on, and right will prevail long after she's gone. Snowdrop and the prince are happily wed, and the world will rejoice. The wicked queen's dead.
I hope you liked the story, Arlita and Gary. And now let me see. Oh, yes. How to get an autographed picture of Gramps, Tommy, and me. Just write any postcard or letter to Judy, that's me.
Telling in 15 words or less why you like Let's Pretend.
And we'll send you by return mail an autographed picture of Judy and Gramps and me.
That's right. And be sure to send your request in care of Let's Pretend Armed Forces Radio Service, Los Angeles, USA.
Gramps, will you do me a favor?
You bet your boots, Tommy. What is it?
A little friend of mine, his name is Jackie Turner, he wants to know if you tell his favorite story again. The one about Pete the Pelican?
Oh, I sure will, Tommy. Now, are you listening, Jackie?
Well, now, this pelican, Pete his name was.
Gramps.
Huh?
What is a pelican?
What is a pelican? Well, you know what a swan looks like, don't you, Tommy?
Uh-huh.
Well, a pelican looks something like a swan, only his neck is shorter and his beak is longer. And under this beak is a pouch in which he keeps the fish he catches.
Oh, I see. You mean he... Huh?
It's very simple, Tommy. Now, listen. When a pelican's flying over the ocean, he keeps his eye on the water below. And when he sees a fish swimming along, he real quick-like swoops down, scoops the fish up in his beak, but instead of swallowing it, he lets it land flop in this pouch I was telling you about. And then before the day's over, he has maybe, 10 fish or more to take home to his family.
Oh, I see.
Well, sir, Pete was a pretty happy pelican, and he used to sing this song.
We find fish a tasty dish, me and my family. I can hold a lot in this pouch I got for my family. I go out and catch 'em, then straight home I fetch 'em to my family.
Yes, sir, he was a nice daddy pelican, all right, and everything would have been fine except for one thing.
What was that, Gramps?
Hobo the Hawk.
Hobo the Hawk?
That's right. You see, Hobo the Hawk liked to eat fish, but he was too lazy to catch 'em for himself. That was just a mite too much trouble for him. So he figured out a way to get fish without doing any work. Here's what he did. When he saw Pete coming home at night with a load of fish in his pouch, he'd fly way up above him, and then all of a sudden, without any warning, mind you, he'd zoom down at poor Pete, just like a dive bomber, and scare poor Pete out of a year's growth.
Golly, Gramps, what did Pete do?
Well, sir, Pete would open his beak to call for help, and just like that, faster than you could say Jack Robinson, that old Hobo Hawk would grab a fish from Pete's pouch and fly away.
That was a dirty trick.
You bet it was. And old Hobo would do it every day, too, every day. And it used to make Pete so mad.
Golly, I'd say so.
And even though he spent a lot of time studying over this problem, he couldn't think of any way of getting back at Hobo the Hawk. Every day, just like clockwork, Hobo would scare him half to death and grab another fish.
Well, Didn't he ever figure out a way to get back at Hobo Gramps?
Well, yes, he did, Tommy, and here's the way it came about. One day, Pete, that is, he was talking to a lobster named Lester, and Lester the lobster said,
I can live in water. I can live on land. I'm lucky that way. Wish I could fly like you. I'd like that. I'd like that.
But, Lester, you know lobsters can't fly.
I know that. It's absolutely impossible. But I'd like to. What are you thinking about, Pete? What, huh, Pete? What are you thinking about, Pete?
Wait a minute. I just figured it out. I'll wait for you to fly, Lester.
Oh, tell me.
And you can also help me teach Hobo the Hawk a lesson.
Oh, tell me.
Well, sir, now this was Pete's plan. He would take Lester for a ride in his pouch, and he told Lester what he should do when Hobo the Hawk came along to get a free fish. Lester thought the idea was wonderful, and he quickly crawled into Pete's pouch. Then Pete spread his wings and soared up into the sky. He kind of opened his beak so Lester could observe the scenery.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, it was, Tommy, and Lester was having the time of his life. But then, all of a sudden, Hobo the Hawk came flying toward Pete, smacking his beak in anticipation of a nice, fat fish. I went through the usual routine, dive-bombing at poor Pete the pelican.
What happened this time, Gramps?
Well, Pete opened his beak just like all the other times, but when Hobo poked his head in for a fish, there was a surprise waiting for him.
Lester!
Right! Lester the lobster threw his big green claws around Hobo's neck and held on tight. Hobo tried to fly away, but the weight of Lester around his neck made him top-heavy, and he zigzagged all over the sky, trying to gain altitude. Oh, poor Hobo was so frightened and confused by what had happened to him that Pete the pelican felt sorry for him. And so did Lester the lobster, because after he thought Hobo had learned a good lesson, he released his claws and fell down, kersplash, into the ocean. Well, Hobo, scared as all get out by this time, turned tail and headed for home.
And I'll bet he never bothered Pete the pelican again, did he, Gramps?
No, sirree, Bob, he never did. And afterwards, when Hobo realized how silly he must have looked, bobbing up and down in the sky, trying to get his balance, with a lobster hanging onto his neck, he busted right out laughing. And then he went and apologized to Pete for taking fish that didn't belong to him. And Pete forgave him, and ever after that, they were good friends.
Gee, that was swell, Gramps.
Oh, it certainly was. But that's all we have time for now. So until next week, this is Judy saying so long for the whole gang. Good pretending.
Sergeant Russ Thompson speaking. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.